Yeah, courtesy NBA on Peacock. The good guys take it. 115-105. Mitchell with 30 points. Harden added 28. Evan Mobley helped out with 25 points in the victory. Cavs have beaten Toronto 12 straight times in the playoffs. That ties the NBA postseason record for consecutive wins against an opponent. Game 3 going to be up in Toronto coming up on Thursday night. NBA playoffs, first round elsewhere in the East. Atlanta wins in New York last night, 107-106. Canton native C.J. McCollum, 32 points. The Hawks even up the series at 1 game apiece. Atlanta rallied from 12 points down to start the fourth quarter. They pick up the win at the Garden. In the Western Conference, last night, Minnesota coming back to beat Denver on the road, 119-114. Anthony Edwards, 30 points. Julius Randle added 24 points. That series now tied at 1 game apiece. The Timberwolves rallied from 19 points down to pick up the win. Guardians last night had their struggles. They lose to the Astros 9-2. Slade Ciccone worked 5 innings, giving up 7 runs, 6 earned on 10 base hits, including giving up a pair of home runs in the loss. Brian Rocchio had 3 base hits, and Rhys Hoskins had 2 hits, including an RBI single. Prior to last night's game, Guardians third baseman Jose Ramirez named the American League's Player of the Week, and why not? Last week, Ramirez hit .364, hit 4 home runs, drove in 5, and also stole 5 bases. He also walked 8 times last week. Ramirez last winning the award in July of 2025. Don't miss tonight's episode of 92.3 The Fan's off-season special. Get the latest on the Browns this evening from 7 to 9. Can now find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get the best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas. Up next, time for the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima here on 92.3 The Fan.
Catch up on the Browns draft news you may have missed on your ride home. The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Tonight we're gonna take no prisoners.
The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima.
And Mobley jams home the alley pass from James Harden.
7% on mid-range jumpers, 5th in the NBA.
Wow, Harden, no good on a 3. Oh, it is good. Whoa!
Scotty Barnes goes down, and James Harden must be living right. Because that thing's up towards the shot clock and somehow goes down.
Murray boils.
Oh boy.
And then Barnes lost the outlet pass, and it's picked up by Harden, and it's driven and scooped to the hoop. Donovan Mitchell. The Cavaliers have been the best version of themselves in games 1 and 2. Game 1 was a 13-point victory. Game 2 is recorded as a 10-point victory. 115-105, the final score tonight.
This is Cleveland Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
Audio courtesy of Peacock, because clearly that's where you go for playoff sports in America. Ladies and gentlemen, your Cavs are up 2-0 in this series.
Yeah, relegated to the online-only feed last night.
Well, we'll talk about that coming up here in a bit, because it's got a lot of tweets about it throughout the game, and I sympathize with those who were sending me some of the tweets. But either way, the Cavs are up 2-0 in this series. I'm fighting the urge to say it. I'm not going to say it because I think Thursday's going to get chippy. So I'm going to fight the urge. I'm going to be responsible, and I'm not going to say it, even though I want to, about this series and the fate of this series. But when the Raptors get out and they try to do everything they can to get out and run, they try to do everything they can to try to beat you to the spot, and it still doesn't work. I mean, they out-rebounded you in the first half. There were so many things that could have said, hey, this is going to be a different game, and it just seemed that you were up 7, 10, 12, 10, 9, 12, 10, 8, 6 in the fourth.
Yeah, they got down to 2 possessions.
12 immediately. Like, it just seemed to be that you were always going to be ahead. Like, the only time there was ever a chance in this game last night, and maybe you see it differently. I'm going to let you get into it because you're the ball knower here. I pride myself on knowing some ball, but not as much ball as you do. Let's be serious here.
You had a tweet yesterday that I went back and I forgot I was going to retweet it.
Ooh, doggies.
You had a tweet yesterday that I was like, oh, man, Ken, I'm proud of him. He's a ball knower now.
Ball knower.
Lots of knowledge. I would like to toot my own horn here, so you go right on ahead.
And I'll just come in and let everybody know because you said it. It's 100% true. You got right to the point.
Thank you.
You couldn't think of a Cavalier that James Harden hasn't made better.
And then immediately people got in and told me Jalen Tyson. I went, you guys need to relax right damn now.
He's been Tyson pretty clear that he was instructed, go in, bear hug Brandon Ingram. Use up some fouls and make him frustrated, and it worked. We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a second because you're seeing the clear difference in talent and who they have to rely on compared to who you can rely on, and it's a big difference maker. But Kenny, the part of this Donovan Mitchell absolute superstar performance as he continues to do, I think people forget when he in the regular season is just kind of, oh, where's Donovan been for a half? Oh, Donovan's just really shooting threes, and then that's it. Oh, Donovan's not really playing any defense. Well, it's been a year long of kind of load management, but on the floor for Donovan. Yeah. Some guys do load management by just not showing up to the building,
having a seat,
not going on trips. Mm-hmm. I'm going to get my tendonitis. I'm going to get treatment. Where is he? Is he coming out for the second half? That's not what Donovan does. Donovan has just been through this. Donovan doesn't really care about his stats anymore. And he had some clunkers in a regular season. Funny thing is he's still going to be all NBA, probably second team when all is said and done. That's how amazing he is. But have we talked a lot about Donovan as a superstar this year? I feel like we haven't.
No,
just because
we haven't talked about any of them being superstars this year. Let's be honest. I mean, there's been a malaise with the fan base for a while. And I don't want to get into the fan-on-fan stuff because I saw a lot of that. And we'll get to that coming up here in a bit. All right, I got to go over this team, and I got to go over this win, and it's 2-0. But no, I don't think that we've talked a lot in that sense about Donovan being a superstar, about Donovan being 1%er. I think it's more the challenge that's laid to Donovan to take this team and raise the standard of what their greatness is going to be. And really, second round isn't greatness. You get to one of the Final Four teams in the NBA, that means you're a great team. I mean, good God, there's 30 of them in the league. I think you're pretty special if you get to the Eastern Conference Finals. You're off to a hell of a good start so far because, again, yesterday, I didn't think it was going to be a 20-plus point lead like it was at times on Saturday. But it just seemed to me, and Thursday I think is going to be a different story, and I'll tell you why later. But it just seemed to be like you're just a better team. It's just what there was. I mean, the turnovers at the beginning of the game didn't help Toronto. You're just a better team. The only time Toronto I felt could really get close to you is when you had Dennis Schroeder in and Jalen Tyson in. I mean, just... And
Keon Ellis was missing the threes he normally makes in the corner.
When your starters weren't in and they were getting a breather, that's like the only chance they got to get back within shouting distance at you.
Yesterday was a game where normally at home, they always say traditionally in the NBA playoffs, things have kind of changed, by the way. But it's always my whole life been the role players play well at home. And on the road, they disappear. A lot of that's changed because of three-point shooting in the NBA because they can all shoot it at any point. Doesn't really matter if they're home or away. But yesterday, the role players offensively, defensively, they all were doing what they needed to do, and we'll get into that later. Offensively, you were a three-man show yesterday. But your three guys are so much better than what Toronto has, and this is kind of part of a larger point. When I said to you moments ago, do people understand how good Donovan Mitchell is? Mm-hmm. Because in the malaise of the regular season, and that's really what it was, a malaise. It was, hey, I don't know who's going to be in the lineup tonight. I'm sorry for those that paid for tickets, but I don't know who's going to show up. We've had staggered injuries all year, and if Donovan goes, I don't even know how balls to the wall he's going to be. But do you guys understand having a guy like Donovan Mitchell, how different that is in the postseason? Because it was so dispiriting for Toronto that anytime the Cavaliers needed a bucket, it was Donovan Mitchell would see who was on him and go, oh, I can take him to the basket. Oh, he can't come out and guard me at the three-point line. Oh, I can do my wheeling dervish spin move. Oh, I can bring the ball over on that gather step, which he does. The old Magic Johnson, but he does it on a gather step. It's incredible. Like, oh, I have the $1 million move. I have the hesitation. I have the decel. I've got this entire box of moves, and I get to pick which one I want to use on every possession because Toronto has nothing for me. Oh, and you know what? When I go to the bench or I feel like I don't want to exert any more energy on this possession, James Harden is going to milk the clock to the end of the shot clock, and Toronto fans will be like, great defensive possession. We have locked in. We didn't let Donovan get going. We didn't let it be on the roll to Jarrett Allen. We didn't no alley-oop to Evan Mobley. Like, we've clamped him down. Oh, Max Strus off a stagger. No, we defended it well. Oh, James is going to shoot a step-back three. We're going to contest. We're either going to foul or he's going to make it. How do we beat this team? Do you guys understand how that sucks the energy and the hope away from every single one of those Raptors? And that is the difference. You've got those guys. They don't have them.
So that's exactly it. And I knew that this is a great performance because I wasn't sitting there watching 45 hoping he would pull rabbits out of his hat. I didn't realize until the end of the game that he was the leading scorer, to be honest with you. I was so focused on what Evan did last night. I mean, 6 of 6 from the field in the first half, finished with 25. I was so focused on what James Harden was doing yesterday, creating shots, hitting shots. He even did the classic Harden move where he was about 4 rows up in the stands and he forced a three free throw shot on a foul, which is something that people have hated his entire 17-year career.
When it's your team.
But it's when it's your team, it's the Jack Parkman. It's crazy how a change of jersey can do something to you, and that's exactly what it was. I couldn't believe he was able to get a shooting foul on that up there in the upper corner. So there were the two guys that I was paying attention to the most was Evan Mobley and James Harden. I didn't realize that Donovan was your leading scorer last night. I didn't. And it's I assume it's a good thing. I hope it's a good thing. Maybe I just wasn't watching Donovan close enough. I just assume he's going to take care of his business. But I feel differently. I'm going to explain why coming up at 6:23. I know I'm talking about a lot of things in the future here, but I just want to savor it here because I was just so impressed by what Evan did last night offensively. I was so impressed by what James Harden did for everybody else and himself, obviously, that I didn't have to notice Donovan Mitchell. And I think it's a very good thing where I don't have to sit there and just beg Donovan Mitchell to get a bucket to keep us ahead by 6 or keep us ahead by 3 or bring us back. Like, I didn't have to do that the way I have in previous years. I just think I hope to God we are seeing the difference in this basketball team post the trade for James Harden here. I hope that anybody who's just jumping in or maybe just jumped in for the first time even Saturday, because a lot of people have Prime. I know not a lot of people have Peacock, so maybe I'm telling you stories that you just read about and you're hearing about for the first time. But this is just, it's such a comforting difference. And it ain't always going to be this way. All right? Atlanta beat the Knicks last night. We're getting some topsy-turvy stuff going on here. We saw Orlando beat Detroit on Sunday. So it's not always going to be this way, but I'm enjoying it.
If Donovan would have been off yesterday, they might have lost. It's absolutely in the realm of possibilities that on Thursday night, they struggle on the road. You're going to get Toronto's although I really truly believe watching Toronto defensively yesterday, I think you've gotten the best out of Toronto defensively. Like, they are making it hard to even move. There's so many possessions yesterday that got started with 7 or 6 seconds left in the shot clock because they were wrestling off the ball. Like, there was a play where Keon Ellis was supposed to come up and set the screen for Harden, and they were going to go guard-on-guard screen, which they can unlock a whole bunch of things the way they have their spacing and when they go small. And he couldn't get over to set the screen because he was getting tackled. And it's playoff basketball, and they are allowing it. And by the way, I think that's fine for the Cavs. I think they are just fine, especially when they are starting Dean Wade.
I think they've played a little bit more physically, and I'm glad you brought up Dean Wade.
So
Continue,
physical,
please,
Kenny,
on the Dean Wade.
It was so physical, and that's why I said after the game, what a perfect playoff game. Not that the Cavs played great. If the Cavs played great, they would have just won by 20. It would have been over. But the Cavs have had so few minutes playing together this year since the Harden trade. They've had so few practices. And I'm not saying that for excuses. That was a voluntary move the Cavs made. They knew that they were not going to have a lot of time to build continuity. But they've had so few chances on the floor with all their healthy guys to figure out their identity and figure out who they are, that it's awesome to see against a formidable team, not as talented as the Cavs, certainly. They don't have the superstars that you have, but a formidable team that is doing everything they can to mess up your sets. They are doing everything they can to disrupt your rhythm. They've made huge adjustments already in this series because they know they're up against it. They're basically changed their starting lineup. They threw one of their starters out of the rotation yesterday. Pirtle was basically gone. I don't know if we're going to see him again this series. But they're doing everything they can within their powers to try to mess with you. and the Cavs were able to hold them at bay throughout. And it's huge because the Cavs have to prove that they can play all these different ways that can handle physicality.
Yeah.
Guys, Toronto is as physical as it gets. They come straight out of the Orlando playbook, and you won. You won, and you didn't get good games out of your role players. No. You didn't. So I do think it's important to note that the Cavs are showing they have a curveball. They have an off-speed pitch. They have different ways
maybe
that they can negotiate.
Having to start 40 different starting lineups might have been a good thing altogether. I understand that a lot of that was just because they had to because of the injuries that happened during the year. But, 40 different lineups, I would hope that it teaches you some things, and I think, obviously, Kenny Atkinson has learned some. I don't want to bog it down too much. You mentioned Dean Wade. I'd have to go back and look at the shot charts for him historically. I know that you would know better than me, so I kind of had to ask you. It looked like he passed up a dozen open looks. But if I don't know his spots on the floor, like you could be standing there, but if that ain't your shot, that ain't your shot. So I will openly admit I don't know Dean Wade's spots on the floor.
Yeah.
But defensively, you just said it. Brandon Ingram was frustrated. Scotty Barnes was frustrated. Anybody they put him on in switches or anything ended up being frustrated. He was remarkable defensively last night, Dean Wade was.
Huge. And this is why when their defense went south, ever since I saw national guys like Bill Simmons, since they got Harden, they're 18th in defense. And that team with a profile of 18th on defense can't win the championship. It's like, well, no, they haven't had any of their best defensive players. Not having Wade. Mobley was in and out. Jared Allen missed 9 games. Tyson was out for a month. When the Cavs don't have your best defensive players and they're in mail-it-in mode in the regular season, you're going to see some issues with the defense.
Well, the sheriff loved Dean Wade, and he brought it up last night.
He did.
Dean Wade, he's been doing great. That's really it.
It's great. It's good to see Evan doing what he was doing. Which, even though he was 6 of 6 from the field in the first half, I did get some complaints about his rebounding. I'm like, well, it ain't going to always be perfect, guys.
Yeah, they were getting pounded on the offensive glass. I feel like they made the adjustment in the second half. They were better. They
you
were
had the one
bodies.
where, they had 4 different looks at it, and they finally were able to put it in. Good God, that was a little bit of luck, obviously, with the ball bouncing, but that was effort there. So, I'll take that when James Harden finally finished it. But.
Yeah, they had some amazing sequences. And, listen, You don't want every game to be a Donovan Mitchell and James Harden bail them out situation because eventually you'll lose those games. It's going to be tough over the gauntlet of a playoffs. You're going to need your other role players to step up. But I think I know enough about a lot of these guys that I do have confidence that they are fully capable in doing it. They have flaws. They have some flaws. They're as I've said for the last 4 years, they just don't have the wings. And they've got away with it. Having Dean Wade back, it makes them way more versatile because I've seen him guard Jalen Brunson and I've seen him guard Brandon Ingram. Those are 2 totally different players, but it shows you how important somebody like Dean Wade is.
He was the running theme through postgame last night. An hour of press conferences, everybody went to Dean Wade. It was Dean Wade. It was him on Brandon Ingram. That was the big through line.
Well, and my overarching thought the entire last month and a half of the year is just got to get healthy because I know it's hard to rely on that. Dean Wade has always been injured. So Darius Garland had always been injured. So it was hard to rely on those types of guys. I think that's a big part of the reason they dealt Darius Garland because James Harden plays. That's one thing we know about him. You might not like the way he plays in the final game of the year, but in a lot of the other games, in 90% of the other games, he is so effective. I think people are realizing that. Even some national people, I've heard Marcus Spears was on yesterday talking about, Harden could change his legacy. One deep run to the finals
That's
here
true.
could change his legacy
That's
forever.
True. All it takes is one. 216-474-0092. All right, are you feeling more confident about the Cavs in this series now? Did last night do it, or is Thursday night going to be the one where you're really watching? It's the first game over in Toronto. Crowd's going to be loud. We'll talk about crowds coming up here in a little bit. 216-474-0092. Are you feeling more confident about the Cavs? 7:20 this morning. Ryan Wilson going to join us on the show. CBS Sports, NFL draft writer. Who does he have the Browns taking at 6-24? Also coming up here in just over 20 minutes. If me, Nathan, and Siciliano all think this way, it's not going to happen. And I don't understand some of the fans because emotionally, I'm in a way better place with this year's team than last year's team. And I'll explain that coming up in 5 on The Fan. Window Nation.
to you by Smiley One Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing, Empire Window Company, and Hitline Sports. Tune in all week for the latest draft news and rumors on your home for the best football talk in Cleveland. Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan. When you want the latest on the Cavs, we're the station you turn to first. 92.3 The Fan is Cleveland's home for breaking sports news. Your teams, your station.
Well, yesterday's win definitely did something. They're in now, boy. Even the ones that were like, I don't know. They're in now. 216-474-0092. Let's do it. Are you feeling more confident? They're up 2-0 in the series. I just don't want to write checks that I can't cash. But I am feeling, obviously, like this. It's hard to predict the sweep, but I'm feeling very good about this because of the way yesterday went. There's injuries everywhere. I don't mean to bite your head off on that.
I just mean if Donovan tweaks an ankle, misses some time.
There's going to be a change.
That's the blueprint for a team like Toronto because I feel like even if they shoot well, game one they shot well. Okay, even if they pound you on the glass, all right, they did that for a lot of yesterday's game. Even if they force turnovers, okay, they've done that at times. I mean, James Harden had like 4 turnovers in the first quarter. A lot of the ways that they'll get quickly back. Guess what? That won't change the point spread. He's not. Now they do desperately need somebody in the backcourt to help them out.
Right.
But remember, game one, Shed went 4 of 5 from 3-point range or 5 of 6 from 3-point range. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the avenues that Toronto has, they're just an inferior team. And that's the first round. That's the whole point of having the regular season the Cavs had, even though it's a 4-5 matchup.
Yes.
Winning 50-plus games the way they were able to, you have a matchup in the first round where you are the better team. You have the superstars. They don't. That's the whole point of this. That's what you work for all year. And trust me, like there were many times during the year where do they even care what seed they have? But they have home court advantage. They're the better team. They've got just more ways to pull this off. And the good news is I think the situation will be the same in the second round. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy. It's never easy.
No.
If you don't play well, you can lose at any point. You see the Knicks last night. They coughed up. They had a double-digit lead.
Tell everybody what it felt like. Tell everybody what that Hawks game felt like.
It was game 2 last year when Halliburton hit the step-back 3 on Jarrett Allen when you controlled the whole game and you lost. That's exactly what happened with the Knicks last night. And at some point, maybe later in the show, I'll do my power ranking of NBA teams I'd rather be right now in the playoffs than the Cavs. Hint, there's not a lot.
No.
Did you see Denver lost last night? And they were the one team, they're one of 4 teams that had better championship odds than you. And I'm like, I don't know. Would you rather be the Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference, or would you rather be the Cavs right now?
I would rather be the Cleveland Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference.
Gotta tell you, I know I sound like a homer right now. I'd probably rather be the Cavs.
Well, there's a reason behind that I'm going to get to here in just a moment. 216-474-0092. Are you feeling more confident about the Cavs after last night? Maybe I could feel it on the phones, and I know there was a day that was in between. I think that there was some people going, well, you got to prove a little bit more. Okay.
Well, that's the playoffs.
Here we are in game 2.
That's why we're all here in a tournament to try to prove it.
I thought Toronto played much better. And, I know they made it a 2-possession game at one point, but I felt very confident in the Cavs, basically wire to wire. I mean, when they came out and committed 5 turnovers, the Raptors did at the very beginning of the game, I just felt good almost from opening tip to the very end. Let me get to Kyle and Wadsworth. You're first up on the Fan. Hello, Kyle.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Nothing much, Kyle, except for the Cavs' big victory. Go right on ahead.
I want to say, they're doing what we expected them to do, what we wanted them to do. So it's hard to get too excited, but it is comforting seeing them play this way. And with the bench only shooting 25%, still winning the game by double digits, it's nice having that continuity finally. Dean Wade's out there like a 7-foot Dova, playing defense and hitting a 3 every now and then. But the bench isn't going to shoot that poorly all the time either. We got a deep bench. We got shooters. We got scorers. So I think it's only going to get better. Like you said, the Raptors, they brought out their best shooting in game 1, and we beat them by, 13? And then last night we had a poor shooting night off the bench, and we still won by 10.
And that's what should make you feel even better about it. Kyle, is that you didn't play your best basketball last night. I mean, it was still pretty good, obviously, and I came away really impressed with Dean Wade, just like you mentioned. Everybody else, you didn't play your best basketball.
Yeah.
Kyle,
Yeah, well, and seeing Mobley finally drop 25, I think him, Mitchell, and Harden combined for 83?
Yes.
I mean, Jared Allen's not going to do much when those guys are doing that, and you still got him ready to go whenever you need him. So,
now, Kyle, I think you're right about this, and this is where I'm at. Kyle, thank you very much for the call. I know that we've turned a lot of fans have been going after each other, whether it be because of shirts, whether it be because of being loud. we'll get to that.
Gotta wear the shirt.
Well, some people got me misconstrued here. I'm just like, I would wear the shirt, guys. I succumb to peer pressure easily.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, I don't know what I would do with somebody, Quinn, on social media. Social media reactions brought to you by
Shibe and Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
He told me to do the Shawn Michaels DX and just cut the side, and I was like, that's actually a really, really good idea, because then I wouldn't have to go up and wait in line for a bigger shirt. Which some people were saying you couldn't get a bigger shirt last night.
What?
I have no idea.
They don't have the different sizes?
I had always heard you can go up there and exchange a shirt. I know me, I would go up and exchange a shirt because I'm terrible with peer pressure. However, I just said, if you didn't want to wear it, you didn't want to wear it, no big deal, as long as you get loud. We'll talk more about that coming up in a bit. I don't want to sit there and turn fan on fan, but this is why I've been basically indignant here this entire year, and this is why, I love to disagree with Tone, guys, but I've had to agree with him the entire time. I feel much better about this group than I did last year, and James Harden is the difference. I feel exuberant. I feel excited. I feel like this was a team before this trade that was kind of slowly and without any passion just going to the same place they were last year. And it might be a very difficult road to get higher than where they were last year. But you saw last night, and this is why I'm sitting there going, damn it, can you not see the forest for the trees here? It ain't going to last forever. I got two legends playing in my backcourt right now. I got a budding superstar who's right now at the crossroads of his career, who played his ass off last night. I saw some great things here over these first couple of games of this series, and it's going to make me excited. And I've been more excited since the trade. I thought, I'm always going to want him to do well. That's easy enough to say. Everybody's a Cavs fan, so everybody wants to see him do well. But you know how you feel about things. And you can't, if you've been paying attention, you cannot tell me you haven't felt better about this group since that trade. Yeah, there were some trips and falls here along the way since the trade, but I felt so much better. I'm like, we got to realize this.
Yes,
we have
Ken.
to see this.
Man,
how
you said
different
two
it
legends.
is.
You said two legends in the backcourt.
They're two Hall of Famers.
We can't gloss over
Easy
that.
Hall of Famers, not just like, well, later on in life there'll be a Hall of Famer. I know it's a basketball Hall of Fame, but these guys are bona fide here. Come on.
And it was on display last night. They bailed out the rest of the team for their offensive performance. Keon Ellis had two short corner threes back to back that he nails those all the time. He would have blown the game wide open in the first half. He missed them both, and a lot of the live ball and dead ball turnovers, they had both of them yesterday because the big adjustment that Toronto has made is just push the ball down the floor. I think the Cavs are going to be ready for that on the road in Toronto. They have to have a head on a swivel. They have to get back. They have to find their men because Toronto's looking at cross matches in transition, all that stuff. But here is something that I think is very important. I continue to hear people, whether it's at this station, whether it's other hosts, they talk about, understood, the malaise over the regular season. I keep using the term malaise because I understand it. But at the same token, like I noticed it yesterday. Well, the Cavs are better than Toronto. Of course they're going to beat Toronto. Wake me up when they play a better team. I just looked. Championship odds are updated. Cavs are fourth. The Cavs are fourth in championship odds in the NBA. I don't know how many times this late in a sports season for a Cleveland sports team that we have had the fourth best odds to win a championship. Has that ever been the case with the Browns? No, not in my lifetime.
Honestly.
The Guardians, the Indians, they've had a few teams, obviously, that have had odds this high, and the LeBron teams. That's it. This is blessed life that we are living right now. So, yes, every series, and it's going to happen next series, we're going to be up on either Orlando or Detroit, and they're going to be hosts and other haters in town. They're going to say, well, yeah, but the Cavs, of course, they're better than these teams. That's the larger point. The Cavs are better than all these teams. That's why I'm optimistic. That's why I think they've got a shot to make a deep run.
Do you have any examples of this, Anthony?
I don't know.
We'll use it later.
I don't know if there's any audio.
Can we use it? Damn it! I just don't want to beat up on him too much. I'm dead serious. I'm dead serious.
Well, then take off your headphones.
Okay, I look at game one, and that was everything I wanted it to be. Now do it 3 more times.
Listen, there's nothing you can do in this series to erase every doubt I have about this team. That's a body of work thing that you have to establish before you get to the Eastern Conference Finals. And then the Eastern Conference Finals will be the absolute yes or absolute no on me saying, hey, my bad, they're better than I thought. This plan does make sense, right? So the next two series, it's really body of work as opposed to any individual game. But if you wanted to start to really pique my interest in this, make quick work of them. Because I'll be honest with you, I don't think this team, this Raptors team you're facing, is much better than the Heat team you completely swept off the face of the planet last year. And the only difference is one's called the 5 seed and one's called the 8 seed.
No, they were the 10 seed last year. The Heat were terrible. They didn't belong in the playoffs. This is different.
So I heard it yesterday.
Guys, this is different. If you can't see that James Harden is a massive upgrade over Darius Garland, knows who he is. It's not, and Darius was banged up too. That was a huge part of it.
But
he was banged up last year against the Pacers. Listen, people don't even realize it and don't even remember anymore. James Harden, who always plays, he broke a finger already. He's playing through it. He figured out how to play, and he's been unbelievable since then. That's why you make the upgrade. That's why you go get the Hall of Famer. That's why you go get the guy who is right now biting at the ankles of Steph Curry in lifetime playoff points. He's right there, guys. Same conversation. Steph Curry, I just put him in the same playoff conversation. Like, this guy's, he's gonna topple Dwayne Wade for all-time points in the playoffs. People don't understand. A lot of people who don't know ball. They don't understand how good James Harden is. They just don't.
I don't want to be a gatekeeper. I'll just say this. I hate to be so fatalistic about everything. This ain't going to last as long as some of us think it is. And you're going to go back to 1918 Winland all over again before you think you do. And I don't like to be this way. It's just like, hey, man, if you don't like basketball, just admit you don't like basketball, and that's okay. And I'm not talking about Nick, and I'm not talking about Nick directly. It sounds like that. I'm just, if you can't get excited about this, it's like you've had some legends play in this uniform over the last 50-plus years, especially since LeBron got here. You've had legends play in this uniform. And even after LeBron left again, you went and traded for Donovan Mitchell. You went and traded for James Harden. I mean, you think about some of the stars that have played in this uniform here, and some of them at the end of the line. And James Harden's 36 years old, but you can see he was the best player on the floor at times last night. And when he wasn't the best player on the floor last night, Donovan Mitchell was the best player on the floor last night. And here I am getting excited over Evan Mobley, and I'm going to continue to get more excited over Evan Mobley coming up at 7. However, in 5 minutes, if 3 guys on the draft broadcast on your flagship home for the Cleveland Browns all want to take the same 2 guys at 6 and 24, I'm willing to bet Andrew Barry's thinking differently. Ken Carman, Tone Master General, fat and thin in the morning on the Fan after a big Cavs win. Tone?
Summit Sound delivers the ultimate stadium experience on 4 wheels. Don't just hear the game, feel it. Upgrade your audio today at summitsound.net. Summit Sound. See it, hear it, feel it.
With the first pick,
The build-up to the NFL Draft is here, and we're on top of the latest news and rumors ahead of Round 1 on April 23rd. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Evan Mobley, conversations about how much better he has been these first 2 games of the postseason. That coming up in about 12 minutes on The Fan. And I'm not avoiding the elephant in the room, or I should say the elephant not in the room. We had Andrew Berry's interview yesterday with Nathan Zegura. We will play the snippet about Myles Garrett coming up here within the next hour, okay? I'm not trying to avoid it the way you think I am, which I'm sure Keith is texting you right now. Ken's avoiding it, don't want to talk about it, makes him uncomfortable. Yeah, you know what? Damn it does make me uncomfortable. How you like that? Okay, I'll admit that. Draft coming up on Thursday. Andrew Berry asked a pointed question from Nathan Zegura about what do we know that's going to happen over the weekend. And, of course, very Rumsfeldian answer from one Andrew Berry.
In terms of people knowing the real draft board, that's everybody involved in the process. This past week during April meetings, I don't believe in hiding the board. Everybody, we ask a lot of work, so they'll see, how we have, players stacked across positions and things like that. And we have a group that has proven very trustworthy over a long period of time, scouts, analysts, and coaches. And we've never had a problem with that type of information getting out.
So there are known knowns and then there are unknown knowns with Andrew Berry about this draft. We had Andrew Siciliano on the show last night for the Cleveland Browns draft preview show, and it was a clean sweep. Now, we had Nathan on Friday. He backed me up. He wants Carnell Tate and he wants Blake Miller at 24. I told you earlier last week before we had Nathan on, I'm picking Carnell Tate at 6. I'm picking Blake Miller at 24. Siciliano came on and said he would take Carnell Tate at 6 and he would take Blake Miller at 24. And we looked at each other, and it was 3 guys sitting there saying, we're like, nope, that ain't going to happen. If there's 3 of us, the voice of the Browns, Nathan, who's the color analyst of the Browns, and just me, who just is the great big cartoon character before they take the stage, if all 3 of us are sitting there saying the same 2 guys, it just ain't going to go down that way. So I have to be ready to pivot and have to be ready to make amends and not be so hung up on it. And I think that this is the perfect draft for it. I've heard, Nick and Jonathan have been pretty passionate about Jordan Tyson. And if you've noticed, I'm not hammering him like I would other drafts about a guy. I think that there's really a high ceiling there with Jordan Tyson. I just get worried about the injuries. I get worried about people starting to get too worked up about the highlights. Like, there's not a lot
That's exactly what's going on right now.
And that sounds interesting to me because I look at a guy like Carnell Tate and I'm like, yeah, there's not as many highlights because he's not Jeremiah Smith. But what I see is just I see solid wide receiver play that is a number 1 in this league that I can go and put out there for 8 years. And I just don't and I know there's been some injuries there with Carnell Tate as well. Okay, that's not lost on me. But I think I'm going to find, as Nick had said, 5 to 8 years of really great wide receiver play. And I just don't think I'm going to have to worry about him the way I might have to with other wide receivers. And plus, it's not just that. I'm taking solid, and I think I'm taking solid at 24. And that's what I want to do. I think if you reverse manufacture it and go with offensive line or the inside-out thinking, which is classic, which is the way I was raised. When you go offensive line first and then wide receiver second, I think in this draft, and it's not this way in every draft, but I think in this draft, you could run yourself into some serious problems there with 2 projects. And that could be a scary scenario for a team that only won 5 games last year.
That is tough. That is absolutely tough to do because, we always wonder every day that you're a Browns fan, is the coach on the hot seat? Is the GM on the hot seat? Just based on until you have like real talent that is, something that you can stack up against other teams. They've made a big step yet last year. Last year was great from Andrew Berry in a lot of ways on, adding to that roster. And this year, you got 2 cracks at it at the first round. I know it's a bad draft, but as I've gone over, like this Hall of Famer's taken at every draft, even in the worst drafts ever, guys emerge. So on paper, it might not look that way. You wonder how disciplined they're going to be. And now with the Giants, with 2 cracks at it in the top 10, like, can they control the draft? How many offers are the Browns going to be fielding when it comes to this? Carnell Tate, like, his highlights they're not going to be as impressive as Tyson. But that certainly doesn't mean that he couldn't be a better wide receiver, could be a more reliable wide receiver. I heard guys yesterday, Todd McShay and Daniel Jeremiah, they were not buying any of this crazy, huge talk and stock rising here over the last 2 weeks of Tyson. They're not going to be as enamored with just random practice video, which is what fans do. Fans get enamored with that stuff. Guys that actually either have done this for a living or do this for a living, they're not as impressed with that stuff.
I mean, I go back to, and I hate to bring this up because I'm sure, Brandon Whedon's a nice enough guy too, but I remember the Clay Pigeon video on Sports Science with Brandon Whedon. I'm going, oh God, this is going to be ridiculous. And again, it can't just be parlor tricks. They got to know how to read a defense from where they're lined up. They got to know what route to run. They got to know how the depth. They have to understand. They have to understand so many things about route running. It's not just about. There's a lot of guys who can make circus catches, acrobatic catches, and it's great to be able to do that. And trust me, I want guys with strong hands. I don't need a guy that goes out there and runs a 4.3. Corey Coleman ran a 4.3. We took him in the first round. He couldn't catch a cold. So I don't need a guy to actually run a 4.3. I need some separation, and I need a guy who knows what the hell he's doing and can catch footballs and actually be a wide receiver, which we just take piecey parts of wide receivers. We never take the full thing. And that's part of why I want Carnell Tate so bad. But because three of us are saying it, it just does seem to be kind of always the way it goes where it's all right, I don't want to sit there and badmouth Jordan Tyson, where you could very well get Jordan Tyson. Spencer Fano is a good offensive lineman. Do you end up getting Spencer Fano there, and do you take another guy where Spencer Fano might be more plug and play there at number 6 overall, and then that lessens your chances of 2 quote-unquote projects there in the first round. There's a lot of opportunities to do some things there. Coming up at 7:20, Ryan Wilson will talk to us. Who does he think he has the Browns taking at 6 and 24? And 4 Cavaliers on the floor last night, and a unicorn again. Is Evan Mobley back? Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, or did he ever leave? The stats would say otherwise. Live on the Fan.
able to make it to 6. My guess would be that'd be a tough call for the Browns. But those would be the 3 guys that I would sort of say I've heard most associated with them.
Listen for the MMQB's Albert Breer, Tuesdays at 5:20 on Cleveland's Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
Ryan Wilson, 20 minutes. Do I dare say Evan Mobley's a unicorn again? Or is that too strong to say?
I would actually argue the opposite.
Beg pardon?
I think
we got an Evan Mobley signed jersey to give away coming up at 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock.
I think that he's discarded. I don't know if it was his decision, the team's decision. I think they've discarded a lot of the plays that they were trying to run early in the year to try to get the unicorn stuff going, the Giannis stuff, him Euro stepping. I think they've said, you know what? Let's do what we know you can do. You've got good touch around the rim. Let's just focus on making sure to be around the rim, finish, and do those things that we know you can capitalize on against most teams. You know, can he do that against Mitchell Robinson? Maybe not, although they played, basically our bigs played their bigs to a draw last time we played the Knicks.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a horse of a different color. But the Raptors, just make sure that you stick with Scotty. And, I saw a lot of people debating who outplayed who last night with him and Scotty Barnes. But Toronto needs Scotty to be a unicorn right now. The Cavs don't need that from Evan. Just go down there in the post, get the easy baskets, be efficient.
That's crazy. A lot of us have beat up Scotty Barnes here over the last couple of years. There was a time where there was a comparison, and there's been a little bit of a back and forth, but it's mostly been Evan who's come out on top of that.
Until this year.
Do you think
All-Star Weekend, it was more about Scotty than it was about Evan.
Do you think that maybe they're just asking more of Scotty Barnes than what the Cavs are asking Evan Mobley?
Yes.
I mean, when you got those two guys in your backcourt there, I mean, you can't help but look better and play better. And, Evan Mobley, I think, has been a weird barometer for a lot of fans because I think he's garnered this reputation as soft. That you could shove him around. But I don't think he's been. I really don't think he's been soft in the second half of the season. I know he had that one clunker, I think, against the Bulls about a month ago, where he might have turned in 6 or 8 points, and some people were like, Judas Priest, this is ridiculous. But other than that, his numbers have been good. His play has been great. And yesterday, I thought he was sensational. Yeah. I really did think Evan was great.
Just trusting the work, trusting the process. Got hurt a few times, came in and out this season, so it was a little unsteady there. But once I got my feet down and stable and started getting my groove back, I feel like it's just been up from there. And I'm going to just continue that path and continue my confidence. And, it's just up from here.
I mean, I like a confident Evan Mobley. I love it. So you could tell at one point he was not confident in himself playing. Like he wasn't. He's a soft-spoken guy. We have a lot of fun with the sheriff. But I mean, if he's saying he got his groove back, that means that he lost his groove in the first place, and that means that he was doubting himself as a basketball player. That's what I take away from that. I have to look into words. He doesn't say that many of them.
He's not doubting himself anymore.
I'm confident in all shots, whether it's a 3, mid-range, whatever is needed. I'm confident in it, and I've been working on it. So if they leave me open, I'm going to shoot it. And that's how you play basketball. That's the best brand of basketball. Is when you have an advantage, you take it.
It was really post All-Star break, with the exception of the game at Oklahoma City when he only had 2 rebounds and they lost, and OKC didn't even have Shea in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, he has been terrific since the All-Star break, and I haven't needed to question his toughness.
Evan, you're talking about here?
Evan Mobley. I haven't needed to question any of that. He looks like to me that he has gotten up for this matchup against Scotty Barnes. Now, this matchup's not over. You noticed, especially in the second half, one of the big adjustments Toronto made is Scotty, off makes, off misses, get into the forecourt, go right at Evan. And he had 4 different buckets right at Evan. And yesterday, I wondered how Evan was going to respond. Not one Defensive Player of the Year vote for the reigning Defensive Player of the Year.
It seemed like a bit of a disrespect.
That's got to be tough. And again, I said, over All-Star Weekend, it was a celebration of a lot of guys in his age bracket that aren't him. Cade Cunningham, it was another thing. Scotty Barnes, second time he was an all-star. And Evan was nowhere to be found, and I wondered how that would mess with Evan's psyche. That could go one of two ways. He could be down in the dumps. He could go into victimization, and it could mess with him psychologically. And since then, it's been the opposite. Maybe he used it as bulletin board stuff. I don't know. But the Evan that I'm seeing now is a guy who knows his game. The team knows where to get him the ball. Man, Harden, you tweeted out yesterday. Is there a guy that Harden hasn't made better since he's gotten here? And Evan, it took him a little more time with Mobley because he was missing games. Remember, he had connected with Allen right off the bat, but Evan, it was a little bit later. We're like, where are the lobs? When is he going to get Evan Mobley at the top for some of those lobs? And now we're seeing it. And I think it's huge, and it's a big difference.
Every Cavs conversation brought to you by the fine folks at Surfside Hard Iced Tea. We ask you to please enjoy that Surfside Hard Iced Tea responsibly. I was watching him so closely last night, and I'm glad you brought up that backcourt that's helped him. James Harden, I think, has been, again, he's such a creator where, who they traded to get James Harden was not the creator that James Harden is. I mean, we're talking about a Hall of Famer there. I always have to couch it because he was a likable young man. They traded away Darius Garland. And I'm trying not to name names here, but everybody knows. So let me just stop pussyfooting around and call it like it is I'm watching so much of Evan and I'm watching so much of James, I didn't realize until the end of the game that Donovan Mitchell was your leading scorer. And I had the volume up. I did. I mean, after the show, at 8 o'clock, I had the volume up. I watched it on silence. And then, you're watching the game. You're seeing it, take it in. I didn't even notice that Donovan was the leading scorer. I was so focused on Evan. I was so focused on what he was doing on the floor. Yeah, everybody would like a more dominating performance on the glass. I think he finished with 8 rebounds, but we finished with 25 points, and you're 6 of 6 from the field, and you're really not forced in the first half. You're 6 of 6 from the field, and you're really not forced to do things you don't want to do because your backcourt is such a threat. I think it just shows you that they're on all cylinders here, and it might have been terrible. It might have been dumb like a fox when you look at some of the rotations that you've had throughout the year and some of the starting lineups that you had. I mean, you open up the show with it, and you're right. We've had 40 different lineups here because of injury throughout the regular season. 40 different lineups. You got to learn something from having to play 40 different lineups, and I think they did. And last night, again, your bench did not play very well. You had very little scoring at all. You had a couple of fouls. You had a lot of problems there. Again, guys were not on their game. They were kind of kept out of it. I thought Toronto, obviously, they were going to play a better brand of basketball than what they played back on Saturday afternoon. They didn't come out like it when they had 5 turnovers in what it seemed like 60 seconds, but you knew Toronto was going to have a better brand of basketball than what they had. And still, they tried to run on you. That didn't matter. Points of the paint were good. Threw it to the block. Guys took care of their business. Yeah, you did get out rebounded. You knew that they were going to be tougher on the glass, but you still ended up winning that game. And to be honest with you, I did not sweat any of it. I did not. I know that sounds easy to say after a win like that. I didn't. When you're still, again, floating around with, at one point it was a 6-point lead in the fourth quarter. But when you're floating around with 7, 10, 12, 10, 9 points a lead, I just didn't really think that Toronto was going to have the guns to jump back in without the Cavs keeping their foot on them, keeping them under the water. I just didn't think it was going to happen last night.
They led wire to wire. Look, they did what the Knicks couldn't pull off. The Knicks were winning that game against the Hawks at home. That crowd was in a frenzy. All the celebrities were sitting there courtside. We had a different celebrity sitting courtside. More on that in a little bit. If you want to get into the elephant in the room, who was there and who wasn't there
Myles
yesterday?
Garrett?
No.
Oh.
No. James Thrash was there. So I thought you'd find
I think you're thinking of Jamari Thrash. James Thrash used to play for the Eagles.
Yes, he did. So there was a veritable who's who at the Knicks game, though, and I thought it was very interesting. The Knicks could not finish the deal. Instead, they coughed up the lead late against the Hawks. Meanwhile, the Cavs, they held them at arm's distance. It was down to 6. It was a 2-possession game there in the fourth. But in the end, like the Cavs did what the Knicks couldn't do. That, again, is why I looked. I dialed it up, and I just tweeted it out. Hey, what do you know? Cavs, now 4th best championship odds right now in the NBA. They forged ahead of, not only they've been ahead of the Knicks, but they forged ahead of also the Denver Nuggets, which is a team with a championship pedigree. I wonder if Nick is going to go on the air today and say, oh, wait, the Denver Nuggets going to be able to prove it. Are they going to be able to prove that they can get past the Minnesota Timberwolves. That series is knotted up and they stole home court advantage.
We got Ryan Wilson coming up at 7:20. CBS Sports CBS Sports NFL draft writer. Also, the reason why I'm laughing so hard, I apologize, is that it's 6 degrees of John Colavito here when he had said Ty Montgomery, and he wrote former Packer, Raven, Jet, Saint, and Patriot. When it's going to be Ty Montgomery, the John Carroll wide receiver, who's going to be joining us at 9:25 this morning.
Great story.
Former LSU Tiger.
Basketball. He was a basketball player.
Yes. So that's when you say James Thresh. Boy, all those wide receivers wanting to hang out with Deshaun.
Yeah, who else? There was another. Wasn't there another wide? Bond.
Isaiah Bond was there.
Isaiah Bond was there.
James Bond. James Bond was there.
Was he
getting the names
now, was
wrong.
he with Deshaun or was he sitting somewhere else?
I don't know if he was.
I thought he was sitting somewhere else. I got to go take a look at the tapes again. I got to check the tape.
Boy, that's a great. I know we're going to get into it. If you are a wide receiver,
the quarterback battle starts today, Tone.
But that's why I want to know, if you're a Browns receiver, are you sitting with just whoever has the courtside seat, or are you like, I want to be with the guy I think is going to be the starting quarterback?
Whoever has courtside seat. Whoever has courtside seats is who you're sitting with. They both can afford them.
Do you think Deshaun is doing this to curry favor with certain receivers?
I mean, again, I support people's right to wear whatever they want to a Cavs game within good taste. Now, me personally, I would have worn the shirt. You know who didn't wear the shirt?
Who didn't wear the shirt?
Deshaun Watson didn't wear the shirt.
No, he did not.
Did not wear the shirt. Don't think I didn't notice. Coming up at 9:25
I haven't seen him wear a Browns jersey in a while either, so maybe we'll see that today.
Ty Montgomery going to join us on the show. Coming up in 5 minutes, Ryan Wilson, CBS Sports. Who are the Browns taking at 6-24? Are they even staying at 6-24? Now, obviously, he does a lot of NFL writing during the regular season. I want to know who he thinks is going to be the leader in the clubhouse for that quarterback job as we get ready for a voluntary practice and the beginning of the battle for the starting quarterback for the Browns in 2026. You will always remember where you were at. 92.3 The Fan, 92.3thefan.com, and on the absolutely positively free Odyssey app, where I'm telling you about 50, 60, 70%.
including a pair of home runs on the 10 base hits he would give up. Don't miss tonight's episode of 92.3 The Fan's off-season special with the latest on the Browns this evening, 7 to 9. Can now find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel with the best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
If you were at the Cavs game last night, you can solve a mystery for us and about last night. Coming up at 7:44 this morning. Also, Ty Montgomery, John Carroll, wide receiver, former LSU Tiger basketball player. He'll join us at 9:25 this morning. Let's go to the Make It Right Call Kyle Wright hotline. We are 2 days away from the NFL draft. Ryan Wilson joins us, CBS Sports football analyst, NFL analyst, host of the With the First Pick podcast with Rand Carthon. He joins us right now. Ryan, good morning to you.
Good morning. I'm excited about you guys talking to Ty Montgomery, talking to the Senior Bowl. He's a fun story.
Well, I'm very excited. I mean, Lima has a bunch of his calls. I mean, Lima was basically the home TV guy for them. I mean, it was amazing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you don't understand, dude. He's like the Jim Nance in Northeast Ohio. Tony is, Ryan. You have no idea.
They got to the national semifinals. His story is amazing. And it's one of those guys that you wonder if they can generate enough interest. The buzz will be there for a kid like that with a crazy story to actually land on a team. He's talked to a bunch of them.
Yeah, the great. I mean, you know this, Lima, as well. He tried to walk on to LSU to play basketball. His mother got sick, and then he told me at the Senior Bowl that he had not faced man coverage until Senior Bowl week for a couple of years because of John Carroll. All those D3 kids are not going to try to play him in man coverage. So he just went to the Senior Bowl and dominated. Fun story for sure, man.
Ryan, what do you think that the Browns should do at 6? What do you think that they should do at 24? What do you got?
Tackle, wide receiver, and I'm not sure the level of anger that the listeners have at this point in terms of what the names potentially could be. I keep hearing Caden Proctor at 6. I mentioned to you guys a few weeks ago that I thought Caden Proctor made more sense than Monroe Freeling, but we'll see. I think Adrian Berry does a good job of playing things pretty close to the best. And then at 24, if there's a receiver there that they like, I know, Ken, that you're not crazy about Casey Concepcion, but if he's the name there, I like his versatility and his playmaking ability in space. And then, of course, there have been talks about trading down from 6 especially, and I think you could trade out from 6 and get a tackle 4 or 5 or 6 picks later if there's someone that a team that wants to come up. The only question is I don't know who's going to be there. I don't think Jeremiah Love's going to be there if a team wants to move from Jeremiah Love. I'll be sort of surprised if an Arvell or a Sonny Styles are there. So they may be stuck at 6 just because there's no one for another team to want to leapfrog and come grab.
Well, Casey Concepcion has a good attitude about him. So, and when I talk about speed without hands, it's going to be tough because I worry about the hands. Everybody keeps saying, well, he's inconsistent, hands. But I'm like, well, he's got a good attitude. So we're not doing Corey Coleman land all over again here at 24 with Casey Concepcion. So I'm fine with that. But I was willing to go inside out of what I usually do. Like I'm an inside out builder. I want to go offensive line first, but I was willing to go the reverse, willing to go wide receiver first, then offensive line because I got to tell you, Ryan, I think we can get to 24 and maybe all those wide receivers that we think are first-round guys end up getting taken. Then what am I going to do? I end up with maybe 2 projects in the first round. I mean, Caden Proctor at 6, I think he's a much better athlete than people give him credit for. But, and I'm a great big fat person, so I say this being sensitive. It's much easier I think it's easier for an offensive line coach to put weight on a guy than to take weight off a guy.
Yeah, no, look, I get it, and those are real concerns. And the hesitation, and I talked to you guys about this before, is the DeJuan Jones situation where at his pro day he didn't even get on the scale, which is unheard of at pro days. There were audible laughs from NFL staff when he announced that, and then we know how things have gone. He struggled with injuries. He's actually been pretty good when he's been locked in. But your point's a good one, Ken, in that maybe these wide receivers, there could be a run on them. And here's the thing, as you were talking, if you said that maybe the Browns like Jordan Tyson or Carnell Tate at 6, is that rich? Are they legit number ones? Yes, it's rich. It's unclear if they're legit number ones, but also it's a huge need. And if you love the player, and I'll say this about Jordan Tyson, I know we talked to death of injuries. He's missed 5 games the last 2 seasons. It's not like he hasn't played. He's put up some pretty impressive numbers. missing those 5 games. So it's not like he's been in a wheelchair for 2 straight years. He had a serious knee injury in 2022, which you really can't avoid. Broke his collarbone at the end of the 24 season, which is sort of unavoidable. Then a hamstring, and hamstrings are, you would hope with more medical staff around you and better nutrition and so on and so forth, that'll be alleviated. So you could talk me into that for sure. And I think there are going to be a few offensive tackles down there at pick 24, more right tackles than left tackles. So you have to sort that out. But I take your point.
Ryan Wilson joined us right now on the hotline. So obviously the Giants, they do the deal with the Cincinnati Bengals. So they're sitting there at 5-10. How much do they control this draft? How much do they impact what the Browns are going to do?
Yeah, this is one of the most unpredictable drafts as we sit here 48 hours out, just because there's so many unknowns, starting with the quarterbacks outside of Fernando Mendoza. What do the Jets want to do at 2? Will the Arizona Cardinals take Jeremiah Love at 3, or will they take one of the Ohio State players? And that just leads to so many different the decision trees, almost infinite at this point when you look at it on a sheet of paper. I personally think the Giants should seriously consider an offensive lineman. I think Francis Maldonado makes sense. I know Giants fans have PTSD from taking all these offensive linemen in recent first rounds that haven't worked out, like Evan Neal, but Andrew Thomas did work out, and Jackson Dart is sometimes his own worst enemy in terms of the way he plays. If Caleb Downs is there, you wonder, will they take Caleb at 10? And the other thing is if Jeremiah Love is there at 5, do they want to go Jeremiah Love wide receiver? Well, wide receivers there at 10 because their defense stinks, and Jeremiah Love isn't a huge need, but he's one of the best players in this draft. So that's going to be, it feels like the turning point when we get there. Again, Jeremiah Love could be gone. The Titans could take him at 4. But if they go offensive line at 5, they could circle back, and there'll be an edge rusher if they want, or a cornerback at 10. But they do desperately need wide receiver help. So they can't really go wrong because they have so many needs, but also doubling up on offense feels like a luxury for a team that was so bad defensively a year ago.
Ryan Wilson joining us, CBS Sports. Bengals got beat up for that trade. I asked this question. We'll get back to the Browns. Bengals got beat up a little bit for that trade. I actually defended it because I'm going, well, if you're taking a guy on defense at number 10 overall, aren't you hoping that he's going to be as good as Dexter Lawrence? Dexter Lawrence is 28 years old. He's in his prime. Why wouldn't you just make a deal for Dexter Lawrence in a draft that we don't think is as great as other drafts in the past and isn't going to be as great as the 2027 draft?
I couldn't agree more. That's exactly it. You know what you're getting in Dexter Lawrence. You can say, well, what about last year? Well, last year he was hurt. Also last year he was double teamed every time. And also last year they traded away every other member of that defensive line except for Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau and then Bill Carter, who are all edge rushers. So it was a big ask for Dexter Lawrence. And he also may have been frustrated. You can say, well, he's getting paid his contract, or he should play hard every snap. I'm sure none of us sit at our desk and just read Twitter as opposed to doing our actual job for 45 minutes a day every once in a while. And the other thing, if you go back and look at the history of first-round picks, and you can certainly from the range 8 to 15, there are a lot of guys in that list that didn't work out. You absolutely know what you're getting in Dexter Lawrence. And I don't care that he's 28. That's still pretty young. Yes, you have to pay him. He's one of the best players in the NFL, but you're paying for the insurance of knowing that he is who he is, not projecting that he will be this player, fingers crossed, if everything works out. Are you going to take him or Caleb Banks? Are you going to take him or Peter Woods out of Clemson? I mean, that's a pretty easy answer, even when you throw in there the cost of the contract to get him to Cincinnati.
Ryan, do you believe when a lot of the pundits start saying, wow, this guy, his stock is rising, he's jumping all over the place on the draft board, do you believe in any of that the week of the draft, or has this stuff all been settled for months?
It's all been settled. I was talking to the team yesterday morning, and they're like, we're done. Like, they're done doing everything. It's just a matter of what's finding its way out of the building. And there's really no incentive for teams to tell us in the media exactly what they're going to do. Oftentimes they speculate about what they think other teams may do. And sometimes they have some information, but obviously they're not in the other team's room or looking at their big board. And so teams are done unless someone's dragging. There's not left to settle. It's just a matter of we have a lot of time to kill between now and and April 23rd at 8 p.m. Eastern. So that's why this sort of stuff happens.
I'm starting to become a little bit more open-minded about moving offensive linemen around the offensive line. Am I catching up with the times? Is that something that we're going to be forced to do because of all the movement that's going on in college football?
Well, I thought you meant like moving Titus Howard to right guard or something. What do you mean?
I mean taking an offensive lineman. Like, I made an argument last week. Like, I'll take Blake Miller. Blake Miller played 4 years at left tackle, now in high school, but I mean, you're starting from 14 years old, for crying out loud. So I think he's a better athlete than what people give him credit for. They put him over at right tackle. I think he only made one start at left tackle at Clemson, and I think he's only missed like 2 practices in the history of him playing football, if I'm not mistaken. I think Zach Jackson told us that from The Athletic. I would take Blake Miller, and I would consider moving him over to left tackle. I think when you play it that young, you might be a natural left tackle, and he's been able to show that he can play both sides, because I would take him at 24 if he's there. I know the Eagles still like him, and I would consider moving him around.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, he started I know he played 2 games at 24 at left tackle, Citadel in the Pitt game. And 24 was pretty up and down for him on the right side. I went back and watched some of those left tackle snaps. He was pretty good. And to your point, he's pretty athletic. I talked to 5 or 6 of the offensive linemen at the Senior Bowl, and I was thinking about this the other day. He was the only guy that sort of took, like, I felt a little nervous around him, which is a weird thing to say. You talk to these guys all the time, but the intensity level was there. And I know people at Clemson love him. And to your point, he's always on the field. And this is what ran Carthon and the Titans with J.C. Latham. J.C. Latham went from the right side of Alabama to the left side for the Titans, and he was pretty good. So if you've had that conversation in the building and the offensive line coach is good with it, you can certainly make it happen. When you talk to these guys during the pre-draft process, they all say they're working on the opposite side of where they customarily played in college. So I'm sure he's been practicing there in terms of the lead up to the draft. But if the Browns are on board with it, and I think he could do it, and you're getting the other thing is this: when you talk about these offensive linemen in particular, you want them to have an edge. Blake Miller has an edge, so there's no concern there.
That's what I like, man. I start getting excited. I start sounding like John Gruden a little bit there, Ryan, because I like, man, Ohio guys, like, you take a guy from Glenville, right? There's a gear there that I've been in other parts of the country that they don't have. There's like a psychotic gear. You take a guy from Stark County. Like, hey, you worked with Rick Spillman. You know it. There's a gear that a guy from Northeast Ohio, the guy from Northeast Ohio has that a lot of guys don't have. And when you're telling me about him and that intensity level, like, yeah, I'm starting to get a little excited, Ryan. I kind of want to move up from 24 and go after the kid.
He's a good player. Rick told me that he and his brother Chris once, when they were in their 20s, were driving around probably Northeast Ohio. It was 95 degrees. They had dip in, and they had the windows up with the heat on just to see how tough they were. So I think that sort of leads leans into your Blake Miller theory. I don't hate it, man. Blake Miller's going to be a first-round pick. It's just a matter of how he fits and how you think you're going to use him. But I agree with everything you're saying.
Ryan, final one. In 2007, the NFL draft went from 15 minutes down to, I think it was it 12? At first 12. Now we're down to 8. We're starting with 8 minutes. Our team's going to be ready for this. We've seen a team famously get skipped when they weren't ready to go up to the podium.
I'm all on board with this line. I saw Omar Khan not super pumped about it, but he also qualified it by saying everyone else has 8 minutes as well.
I love it.
Yeah, let's get this thing. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I don't need to be up at 1 a.m. waiting to see what the Seahawks trade out of that last pick. Let's just make the picks, and then we can get on with preparing for round 2. Yeah, 8 minutes is enough time. You have your board there. If someone's name is called, you put a red X through it, and then you move on to the next guy.
Why did they change it? That's not a competition committee thing? Like, who is responsible for
television?
This? I thought the NFL loved the fact that they could take as much time and make it an event as possible.
Law of diminishing return. I'm sorry, Ryan. You're the guest. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. That was dumb of me.
No, you sound like you know more than me, Ken, because I don't know who made the decision. I just applauded it because, like 15 minutes, I can't believe that was actually a thing at one point. But I understand, the NFL tells the Raiders not to let anyone know who the pick is and don't announce it and all that other stuff. And I understand that for the drama of television. But again, when it's pushing midnight and we're just dragging and having, 10 minutes of conversation because no one knows what's going on while they wait for the pick, I think that ship sailed. So I'm okay with it. I don't know who made the decision, but I'm not going to complain about it.
Ryan, thank you so much for the time. Enjoy Thursday. Enjoy the entire weekend, and we're going to talk to you again very soon. Thank you so much, friend.
Thank you, guys. Good talking to you.
At Ryan Wilson, CBS on social media. Caden Proctor at 6, huh?
I'm getting text, Coach Lance.
He's texting
immediately.
You too?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Ty Montgomery going to join us at 9:25 this morning. John Carroll, wide receiver, talked about him, his feelings. Talked to him and his feelings about the upcoming draft. I do have an explanation for you later on. Hopefully, I remember. I'll write it down for maybe 8 o'clock about why they do it. We got to get back to the Cavs and Cavs fan on Cavs fan crime. And folks, speaking of the Cavs game last night, you can help us solve a major mystery. I feel like Robert Stack is coming up next and about last night on The Fan.
It's
the athletic ability to play in the NBA.
Now, the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima give their thoughts on what you might have missed about last night.
The Cavs won Game 2 against the Raptors. Are up 2-0, and I don't really care about who was on the court last night. I care about who was courtside.
Of course.
Browns.
Wait a minute. Don't be facetious. We all care about who the hell was on the floor last night.
Yes, we care about who was on the floor, but I care.
Technically, those were floor seats, so he was on the floor.
Wake me up when there's a championship
I said
parade.
courtside.
Okay.
Courtside. Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson was sitting there. According to our very own Daryl Ryder, he was not shown on the Jumbotron last night. What would have happened if he had been shown on the Jumbotron?
Can I say something? For those watching on YouTube, when you said, say what you said again.
Yeah, wake me up when the Cavs actually have a championship
And I kind of wanted to stand up like Matt Foley and do that. I don't know. Is that Nick Wilson over there? Hey, let me know.
Let me know when they win back-to-back championships and go 16-0. Wake me up.
Give me two 3-peats in 8 years.
So do we know... 216-474-0092. If you're at the game.
Daryl said no.
I want confirmation on this.
I want confirmation on this. Somebody tweeted at me that there was a standing ovation. I went, if there was a standing ovation, I'd be reading this right now.
They all did the wave.
Yes.
They saw him and they waved to him.
I mean, I got bigger things to deal with. The Cavs. I'm watching the Cavs game. I don't care who's on the court, who's courtside. It's whatever.
You don't think he would have been booed?
I think he probably.
I'm sure he probably would have.
It's not what it was. I don't think it's what it was.
No, it's not. You're right.
A few years ago. But, people are pretty down. I do wonder if maybe the reality is starting to hit people that he actually might start, which I didn't think was possible.
Yeah.
I really didn't. I didn't think it was possible at all.
Do you think there's a percentage of people who wouldn't even know who he was because it's been so long since he suited up?
No. Newborn children. I mean, it's been 2 years, so Mace Dog wouldn't know.
Yeah, I'm saying there's kids that are 10.
Yeah,
that wouldn't know. Who
I think there are people in Italy who know.
They know him better.
Deshaun Watson. Seems like he spent more time there.
In Little Italy, then Little Italy. Yes. 216-474-0092.
The Guardians lost last night, 9-2. Slade Ciccone did not pitch well. 5 innings, 6 earned runs allowed. Yeah, I don't really care about that either. Chase DeLauder, 0 for 4 last night. He's 1 for his last 23, and he's 7 for his last 47 in his last 14 games.
Yes, the last 47 at bats.
Obviously. Why didn't you count the 48th? Why didn't you count the 48th?
Because he hasn't homered. That was the 48th at bat was a home run.
There's 50 states here. You didn't mention, why can't you go in lines of 50?
Why
does it have to just be 47?
Chase DeLauder has not homered since April 3rd.
I loved how you just moved past our starter getting shelled again.
I mean, it's the 5th starter. They've been great. They have an ERA under 4 since April 10th. They're great. They've been playing really, really well. The bullpen's been awful.
Who's them? I'm talking about Slade Ciccone here. You can't just move right on past that. I mean, that's...
Kenny, the Cavaliers, they haven't won a title since 2017. What happened in 2016? Oh, yeah, they won the title.
It's true.
I can move past it.
Okay, so you should ask, which is more alarming right now of the two? Is it the drought?
No.
Is it the drought from DeLauder, or is it Ciccone?
You're nuts.
It's Chase DeLauder.
That's truly
Chase DeLauder more concerning?
It's because Ciccone's your 5th starter. Chase DeLauder is your 2-hitter. You want your 2.
Slade Ciccone is still a big guy.
I like John's battling.
I don't know. I know
I like that John is defending himself.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that he's not important, but Chase DeLauder. You've been singing the guy's praises for the whole time. He hasn't homered since April 3rd.
And that's why I'm not worried about him. Thank you very much. Does he have to hit a home run every time up?
He's got to hit a home run every 14 games.
How many home runs did I say? I said 25 home runs this year, and I'd be more than satisfied with him. Okay? I'm talking about a story. I don't know. I know you're from a big market, and you're a fan of a big market team, John. Let me tell you about how important starting pitching is, and even the 5th starter's got to be important, too.
He's not going to pitch in the playoffs. He's not going to start in the playoffs.
Mid to small market baseball around these parts here, buddy.
John, does he need a slump buster?
Yeah, Chase. Yeah, you love to see a couple of doubles, maybe a bomb here and there.
I don't know his marital status.
I'd
Maybe
like to
he's
weigh
got
in.
Fiance, wife, girlfriend living in the area. You don't want to say that.
I agree with John.
No! Scoreboard.
How dare you?
Yeah, it's like 100-1.
How dare you? Who do you agree with?
I need to see Chase get going here. You need to see Chase get going. Because I have enough confidence in the rest of the rotation.
You sit there and you
You're
fan
a football guy, not a baseball guy.
Oh, who's watching more baseball at this station than Kenny Carman right now?
Owen Laudeman.
You're watching
Owen's watching way more.
Oh, he is he? Does he
Just
keep it
because
sucking,
you
man?
have it on a piece of paper,
You
Ken, doesn't mean that you watch
too, Ken. You keep
You
score.
think I'm not watching these games? Look at what
Ken,
I'm writing
that's
here.
not what I said.
Boom.
You obviously don't listen more than me because you didn't hear what I said. I didn't say that I'm
watching these
that
games.
you're not watching any. I said I'm watching more than you. Use your freaking ears,
I don't think you
dude.
are. I'm watching more than you. I know I am.
Okay, we'll
And I know
settle
I'm
this in the hallway.
What?
Just
Wait
like
a minute, my name's
I almost said both their names.
We almost settled this in a meeting with the boss.
All right, go ahead, John. Moving along.
So Evan Mobley was Defensive Player of the Year last year. Wemby won last night as Ken continues to cackle.
Cackle.
Mobley did
cackle
not
in the
even
morning.
earn a single vote in Defensive Player of the Year voting. There are two ways to feel about this. Mobley got snubbed, or you're just happy that he was able to get one before Wemby bogarts all of them for the next 10 years.
I honestly, I feel that way, the latter. I'm glad that he got one before Wemby bogarts him for the next decade. Yes.
Good usage of Bogart. I like that.
I'm glad he knew
cackle.
Do you know what Bogart? Do you know where that stems from?
No, I know it's a monster from Harry Potter.
How about commandeer?
There you go.
Just when I thought I was in, you pushed me back out.
Exactly. Now he sides with Ken Carman. Yeah, I mean, Wemby.
That's who you agree with right there, Owen.
Okay, obviously.
Monster from Harry Potter.
Mobley is a terrific defender. Now, he did get muscled down to the block a few times yesterday by Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes is a good player. He is a good player. But nobody's doing what I've never seen anybody do what Wemby does. I mean, I've never seen anybody impact. Like they always say, yeah, individual defense isn't 50-50. Like, it's not half the game. But the way Wemby defends, it is half the game. Because he's not just locking up guys. It's not about that. It's that he's deterring guys from even coming into the paint, even putting up shots. Changes everything.
It's not fair.
It's an all-time freak.
Too long of arms, too long of legs. Not fair. Make him play on his knees.
And that's it for about last night.
That was a fun one.
One hand behind his back.
Usually we don't have that spirit of a debate during about last night. That was a fun one.
I think
done.
if he played with one hand behind his back, he'd probably still
be Defensive Player of the
I
Year?
don't know if he'd win it, but he'd be a finalist.
I'm not that worried about Chase DeLauder, man. I'm not.
You should be.
Why?
He's 7 for his last 47. He's in Hobart since April 3rd. It's April 21st.
Yeah, well, you know, it's a
All right, do we want to open up the phone lines? When is DeLauder going to homer again?
We play every day for
474-0092. When's he going to
straight
call
days.
your shot?
Well, tonight's a night that he could homer. And if he doesn't, I'm not going to get that upset.
If he does it, you better hold on to your britches.
Oh,
Tomorrow.
my God. If he homers, I am going to be screaming
It's a lot
in
of
your
pressure.
face.
What else
my
is
God.
new?
You are going to be wearing me if
Well,
he
wait a
homers
second.
tonight.
We don't want people on the station with a microphone in front of them rooting against our hometown teams. We don't want that.
I'm rooting for Chase DeLauder.
No, now you got to be right.
No, you're not. You're
I
not
don't
from
have
here.
to be right.
You're not from here. You're from Philly. Go root for Bryce Harper and your $330 million slugger.
I don't want to root for the Phillies right now. They're pissing me off. I want to root for the Guardians.
Go root for your other guys. Go root for your manager that doesn't show any fight in the press conference. Go root for that. I got Stephen Vogt. He calls me out by name, buddy boy. That's a guy I can get behind. I'll go fight somebody in the hallway for Stephen Vogt right now. You don't know nothing. All right, I'm kidding. 9:25 this morning. Ty Montgomery going to join us on the show. He is John Carroll, wide receiver, former LSU basketball player, and we got to stop this fan-on-fan madness. It's coming up in 5 minutes on The Fan.
Rewind, weeknights 11 to midnight. All the best segments from all our shows you can always listen on the Odyssey app. Headline Sports News every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Catch Afternoon Drive with Nick Wilson and Jonathan Peterlin live on YouTube each and every weekday from 2 to 7 p.m.
Okay, I know we're going to get back to Cavs, the draft. We did get a tweet that I think will hit close to home.
Okay.
Maybe a champion's pose for Ken Carman.
This should be good.
Social media reaction brought to you by Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store. Jay on X says, you know who Chase is starting to look like? Lonnie Chisenhall.
Oh, Judas Priest.
Oh, you happy with that?
Is that what you wanted, Kenny? Is that what you wanted?
Finally getting what you wanted.
I said the excitement level of him coming up, not the rest of his career, for crying out loud. That's not what I wanted. I don't want that at all.
I saw Lonnie on 2 different rehab assignments. That's what you want?
I saw him on many. I saw him on more. I could have seen Lonnie in 8 rehab.
I actually went and saw him. I didn't just write it down in a book somewhere.
No, I worked it. I rode the bus with Lonnie Chisenhall, man. The bus.
Congratulations on all your success.
Oh,
John, go away.
John, I'm talking to Owen here. Okay? Talking to the veteran.
It's an A-B conversation. See your way out of it.
When you can get where Ty Montgomery went to school and then played for.
You're acting like a real 5th starter right now, John.
Yeah, he is. Real Slade Ciccone up there in the corner. And I love you, John. I love Slade too, but come on. Bad performance today. Terrible. You asked me real quick before we get back to the Cavs here, because I'm a little annoyed by some of the conversation, the dialogue, the discourse, but you asked me about the 8-minute picks for the draft on Thursday.
Yeah, huge change. I don't think people are ready for it.
Change. It's a beautiful change. One, I think I'm not sure, it might stop some of the holdup between, all right, the pick is in, we're going to take a 3.5-minute break, and we'll be back. And then you're just sitting there chewing the fat while they're doing commercials on ESPN or the NFL Network, both. You know what I mean? It's owned by the same entity now. So you're stopping that. Plus, it gets like there was time. They've done a good job of speeding it up and getting it done before midnight now. But, I mean, this will be year 14 doing the draft. Yeah, year 14 doing the draft. And there were times I left at midnight because the broadcast was only till midnight. So you didn't know if the Browns were going to move back into the first round or, like, when they moved back into the first round, I think, for Lamar Jackson, it was after we were off air. And so now it gets it in. And there's a lot of intrigue in the back end of the first round. Who could move up? There's always that conversation. Well, if you're there at 11:45 at night, people are fighting sleep. And if their team's not in, they're like, I'll read it tomorrow. You want to keep people watching as much as you can. So you're fighting against playoff basketball. And really, when you think about it, all it is dudes walking across the stage. And half the time, those dudes don't even want to do it anymore. So you're kind of putting together an entertainment. You also have to make it entertaining. And when it's just the dialogue of people and whether or not they think these players are going to be good, you gotta speed it up. You gotta add some zest to it because there's only so much fat chewing you can do. Back when it was on Saturday and you could do it for 15 minutes and it was an all-day thing Saturday and Sunday, that was fine. It's changed. You're going to put it at prime time. You got to get moving.
I love it.
So that's where I come off.
I love it. I know, we're going to be a little conflicted. I mean, the Cavs made this easier going up 2-0 and winning wire to wire. But, the Cavs game's going to be tipping off same time as that draft on Thursday. And to me, it is perfect because not just because this draft isn't as sexy, even though we do have two first-round picks, but I think it's going to be awesome having basketball on in the background, the draft on at the same time. I don't need to listen to all, the analysis and rumor mongering before every pick. Of course, I'm going to have my good buddy and partner here, Ken Carman, on, which would be good as well.
You don't mean what you say.
But
that's why people think you're a liar.
The TV part of it, as a viewing event, and I've been to a lot of draft parties over the years, I think it's kind of overrated. I do think the draft is a very, very overrated, especially when you know who the number one pick is ahead of time.
Yeah, I can understand why you do, but I think, again, it's kind of where hope springs eternal. It's a convention of football. I think it's more of a fun time because there's not really winning and losing going on. There's conversation that goes around it. So it's just kind of more of a chill atmosphere compared to what you're going to. That's why I like the preseason so much, and people just roll their eyes at me. I go, I love going to a preseason game. I mean, it's just, there's no winners, there's no losers. You get to have some fun. It's not like when you go into week 1, it's like, all right, here we go. Now time to go to battle every single week and see whether or not this team can get it done.
Life or death.
Yeah, that's pretty intense. I enjoy some of the chill moments there. We will get back to the Browns coming up here momentarily because there's been some audio that I've been fighting playing and thinks I might have to do it. So you said that there were fans who were critical of the fans in the arena yesterday?
Yeah, I this kept popping up for whatever reason.
I'm not liking some of this stuff.
And it wasn't just the shirt thing. People have just kind of said, outside of the intros, which, of course, Cavs are amazing in the lead up to tip-off, the place is so loud. And obviously, you're into a frenzy. I was there Saturday. I wasn't able to be there yesterday. Outside of that, we know the Cavs are second to none. They're as good as it gets in the entire NBA. I've heard announcers say that. But just the crowd. You know, in years past, people have said that the Cavs have one of the best atmospheres in all the playoffs. We had announcers last year say this building is as loud as it gets. And I just saw, for whatever reason, people were noting on social media that, Cavs were kind of comfortably ahead the entire game, and the crowd just wasn't into it.
I disagree. I thought that they were loud, but I'm only watching on TV. I don't like some of the, and I'm kind of in the ground zero of it in so many ways because of the shirt thing, which all I said was, if you don't want to wear the shirt, you don't have to wear the shirt. Because I'm terrible with peer pressure, I would go try to find a shirt that fits. Now, there were several people saying to me that there's no shirt exchange yesterday. So if you guys want me to wear the shirt that they hand out as a bra, then fine, because I ain't going to fit in the damn thing, but I don't want to get yelled at for not wearing the shirt. It seemed that more people were wearing the shirt yesterday. So bullying works in some fashion.
Yeah, although
Deshaun Watson wasn't wearing the shirt.
The lower bowl...
Shedeur would have wore the shirt.
The lower bowl that was opposite of the bench, it's just a lot of business attire. I didn't
see that on TV. That was the hard cam was.
But the ones you couldn't see
it.
Behind the bench, it looked like there was a lot more cooperation, a lot more buy-in this time around. And I guess they were shaming. They were doing the shaming. The Spurs are notorious for this. Oklahoma City is notorious for this. They were showing people on the Jumbotron
people are
and
always
shaming fans into having to wear the shirt.
Honestly, I wouldn't want to wear a white shirt anyway.
Then it just becomes a wet T-shirt contest with myself.
We're going to get some dribbles there.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the game.
Well, there were people going,
give me the maroon or the blue, and I'm good.
They were coming after me going, don't you think we're better fans in Oklahoma City and San Antonio? I go, if they're going to shame people publicly, then I guess they're not better than us now, are they? I don't want to force people to do something they don't want to do. They're in the arena. To me, it's a much bigger issue if there's half-empty arenas like we've seen in Miami in the playoffs before and a couple of other places. I don't want to deal with that. The place was full. I thought the place was loud. I think we're being way too critical of each other as a fan base, man. This year has been a weird, weird year. The only folks that I have been critical of are the ones that just fart on everything everything the Cavs have done. Really, since the James Harden trade. Really, even concerning the James Harden trade. Because I'm looking at it going, guys, I don't mean to be a gatekeeper. I hate him. I'm going, you guys just aren't watching him. If you still feel the same, they could go to the Eastern Conference Finals and very well lose to the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics are a really good basketball team. But guys, if you're still that nasty about them, you just haven't watched them, and you're having a hangover from last year, the year before, or God forbid, I don't mean to be this way. I really hate acting like this. I really do. You guys just don't like basketball. You guys just like two of the three teams in town. For those folks there, and I'm not taking shots at anybody in particular. I know some people are going to start sending emails and things like that. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just pointing out, this has been a much better basketball team with James Harden, and if you bothered to watch for 10 minutes during this year, you would see how much better Evan Mobley is with James Harden. You see how better Max Strus is since he's come back from the foot injury with James Harden. All these guys, you're seeing the difference between a Hall of Famer and a guy who's a nice player. A nice player, because that's what Darius has been, and that's what Darius is probably going to be. Hopefully he can make it through injuries. But you're seeing the difference between a Hall of Famer and not. And if you haven't, or you're just going to be stuck in the mud, then fine. I guess that's just your way. But I just don't like the whole, well, they're not loud enough. Well, they're not wearing the shirt. Well, they're not this. Well, they're not that. It's like, hey, man, they paid their money. They're full. The stadium's full. The arena's full. I thought that they were loud. Let's just relax for a second and stop being the shirt police on each other, okay? Lord.
So I do want to ask, because you mentioned James Harden there, and we've obviously talked about Donovan Mitchell. The amount of bailout possessions, Toronto did not make it easy on them at all. It was hard for them to drive. It was hard for them to cut. There were wrestling matches breaking out off the ball consistently yesterday in that game, and that's why I love that as a playoff game for the Cavs, that they were able to hold off a desperate team, despite the fact a lot of guys did not play well at home. A lot of guys did not shoot well outside of, your big three, and yet you still come out with a win. So I think Kenny Atkinson is going to absolutely love that. You're not going to be able to survive doing that the entire playoffs. You can't just be, hey, Donovan and James, bail us out. But we know in tough situations, final 5 minutes of a game, those guys are going to put a lot of pressure on defenses. I do wonder, you mentioned, how do people not see Harden as an upgrade because now over Garland? And I want to ask the question.
Why.
If you've been stubborn, and I want to, it's an olive branch.
Part of it's my fault. I'll admit it.
Well, I do want to extend the olive branch to fans that have been stubborn, that have been saying, wake me up when the playoffs start.
I'm glad you're going.
I'm not really buying this team. Are you ready to admit that it is a different team now with James Harden? That the emotional baggage of a lot of what has held them back in the past, they now have answers they didn't have before when it came to James. Because I get it. They have a lot to prove. It's the playoffs. That's what the whole point of this is about. And no, I'm not saying you should be putting up a banner if they beat Toronto in 5 or 4 games. I get that. But are you able to see at least, able to meet me halfway, that James Harden on this team is a difference maker? And while he's had some of the worst final games of the season, he still has been a big-time playoff performer, despite what that narrative is on Harden. And you've already seen it in the 2 games, and quite frankly, you've seen it since they traded for him.
I don't know how anybody, unless they just want to win an argument, which, again, they only hand out 1 trophy. So if your whole thing is they got to win a championship or they're garbage, well, you're more than likely going to
win
the
right. Argument.
You're going to win.
Probably not going to win the championship.
You're probably going to win it.
They do have the 4th best odds today. They moved ahead of Denver.
But, you got Boston there. You got OKC. You got San Antonio there. They're really, really, really good basketball teams, man. I can't take that away from them. And they're good fan bases, too. Okay?
Just meet me halfway.
Even though they bully their fans into wearing the shirts. Either way. I think Lima's right. All right? Let's open things up for everybody here. I know that there's been some infighting. Guys, this ain't going to last forever. And I don't want to sound like Paul Dolan and say, well, you got to enjoy him. But, man, we know how this goes. You're either growing or you're dying. And at some point, before you realize it, this is going to be an 18-win basketball team. If you think we talk a lot of draft now, you wait until that happens. Holy wah. Thank God for the Cavs. Because when they're not good, you really don't care. And I know last year left a bad taste in everybody's mouth, but, man, you watch this team. This is night and day. And this is night and day different because of James Harden being on this team. Let's call it what it is. Everybody's more confident. Everybody's getting the ball more. Everybody's playing well. They've learned a thing or two this year, and in a short amount of time. 216-474-0092. I want to get you guys on that. And I've been putting it off all morning, but I think we got to play it coming up at 8:45. We finally have Andrew Berry on the record about Myles Garrett. Ken Carman, Tone Master General on the Fan.
season by following the Browns playlist and 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey app. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
I like how Lima extended the olive branch. We got Ryan Wilson coming up here in moments, what he said about the Browns, and what I've been trying to tell people for well over a month now. We'll get to that coming up here in about 7 minutes. And then we got Miles. We got Andrew Berry on Miles at 8:45. You've been wanting to do it, we'll do it, okay? Got my coffee cup, and I slammed it down. That's how you know I meant business right there, and I'm upset. Anyway, by the way, Odyssey Sports Draft coverage is presented nationally by Bet365, where winning is everything. Download the Bet365 app and lock in your picks before the game begins. Got to be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in select states only. And by Liberty Mutual Insurance. Only pay for what you need. And I don't know why I put some extra zing on my voice there. I'm sorry about that, and we'll move on. Coming up at 9 o'clock, your chance to win an Evan Mobley autographed jersey. Again, you just get stuck in the mode of puking all over the microphone, and away you go. I'm glad that you opened up the olive branch here. It is because people don't do, if you've noticed it, man, people here don't really like change a whole bunch, and they don't like being made to do things they don't want to do. So it doesn't surprise me that there has been some pushback. And I've been one of the people like, hey, this is I'm doing this for effect. I don't want to sit here and spend the rest of the freaking show on what people wear to basketball games. But it doesn't really surprise me that, you tell people from Cleveland they got to do something. I don't know how well they're going to take that. So, I haven't been surprised why I've seen some pushback on the shirt. And I'm just like, hey, man, I can try to talk you into things, and I would wear it. I would try to if I could fit in the thing. I'm easily swayed by peer pressure. And I also think that lesson can be carried over to the way things have been with you and I and other people at the station. But really because, when I put out how good last night's game was, and I got some people dumping on it going, hey, this is only the Raptors. I swear to God. Now, that's the internet. But we've had callers to the station. Hey, it's only first round. This is only Toronto. You're supposed to beat Toronto. This is their first trip into the postseason. And I can sit here and beg them all. I can't force them, though. I can beg them going, guys, I can warn you about the future all I want. I don't think it's going to compute with some. And I don't know what it's going to take to change that thought other than maybe we're just not talking to that. If I'm talking to that audience too much and I still can't get them going, maybe I'm just talking to the wrong audience because I still think that 85, 90, 95%, a very vast majority are like, yeah, go Cavs. Want to see the Cavs do well, guys. Want to see them do well. And I think that there's a lot of people on board with us where I mentioned to you, I was so impressed with James Harden and Evan Mobley last night. I didn't know Donovan Mitchell was the leading scorer. And I forgot that Donovan Mitchell has back-to-back 30-plus point games.
Donovan making circus shots, bailout possessions, a game that a lot of teams would have lost.
Yeah,
quite honestly.
Because I'm going into this postseason, there's a lot at stake here. The trade with James, James's future here, Donovan's future here. But really, that's not the biggest thing. To me, it's James, and more so, it's Evan Mobley. So I've been watching Evan Mobley like a hawk. And I think a lot of people are like, yeah, they want the best results too. And I just don't want to start narrowcasting to a percentage of the listeners. I'm glad you listened to us, but I can't sit here and just beg 5% of the audience to come along. It's just you're not going to get everybody after you've been a pretty successful franchise for the last 4 years, but
I just
have disappointed some of them.
I get that it's a team that had all the flameouts. Okay, so we hammered the Cavs last year after they lost to the Pacers, even though they had all those injuries. Injuries were significant, obviously. They're healthy now. But not only are they healthy, I think Evan knows what his role is. And I'm sorry, nothing personal to Darius, but James is just a much better basketball player. He knows his game inside and out, and he's more skilled than Darius is, and he's reliable. And I know it's crazy for a guy whose MO, when people talk about James Harden, they're like, oh, that playoff choker. But they only think of the last games of the year. Some of the terrible, terrible game 6s or game 7s on the biggest stage against really good teams. Yeah, he's had those terrible, terrible games. He's also had a lot of great playoff games to get to the terrible game.
Yeah.
And I just want to know if anybody has changed their mind. if they were like, the Cavs have the flameouts, and their answer was James Harden, the playoff choker. Now that you've seen him, have you changed your mind at all? That's all I'm asking.
I would hope that some of them have, but I don't think they're going to allow even the opening round to change their mind. I don't think that us challenging them or the rubbing their nose into it is going to change that. Because what am I going to do? If the Cavs win the championship, you think I'm going to sit out there with a clicker and count all the people who are allowed to celebrate and not allowed to celebrate?
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. And I don't think that anybody cares to sit there and be a gatekeeper on celebrating if the Cavs win a championship. I mean, there's some people who will, but I can't count that. I mean, I just look at it and go, I say, hey, the more the merrier, okay? I want to get this R.J. Barrett audio in coming up here shortly because I want to play that with his respect on Mitchell and Harden and how big of a problem they are because there's a question in there as well, and then I'll get to the Ryan Wilson. But my point is how impressed I was with last night where you get out-rebounded. I thought you out-toughed him inside, and you got out-rebounded. I think that Thursday's going to get chippy. I think that this is their last gasp. I think that you frustrated them incredibly last night. Scotty Barnes ended up with 26. I don't think he scored a point until the third quarter. 9 minutes left to go in the third quarter.
And then he got going in a big way.
Because he is a really good basketball player. But I thought that Evan Mobley altogether played better. And remember, Scotty Barnes has to be the number one for the Toronto Raptors. I mean, you can argue it, but Evan Mobley doesn't. And I think there's a difference there. Here is R.J. Barrett, one of the leading scorers for the Toronto Raptors, talking about James Harden and Donovan Mitchell and how big of a problem they are.
To be honest, they're a problem. They're a problem. And we got to go watch the film and figure out how to fix that.
So he's concerned about those guys, and I think that they should be concerned about those guys. But I have a series that continues on Thursday, and I really think that this is a frustrated Toronto team. I'll leave it here on my side. I'll let you finish up your thought on it before we get to this Ryan Wilson audio here that we had earlier from 7:20 this morning. I think you got this team. You have them on the ropes, that's easy to say. But I think they played as good a brand of basketball. They would disagree. They played as good a brand of basketball as I think they're going to against us. And I think that Thursday, there could be some pushing and a shoving, especially if you get up by double digits at some point in the
They're going to be desperate. I
Yeah.
think you heard it there, though. They know they don't really have an answer for two superstars who are playing at a high level. And the crazy thing is, Donovan is capable of playing at an even higher level. James, I think he's just pretty steady. He knows where his game is at. Outside of him, just going off from three-point range, I think you're getting pretty consistent efforts from James. We know he can also have, really bad shooting games, but it seems like he's not going to force the issue. And that's been the issue in a lot of his big flameouts is him taking 25 shots and hoisting threes like crazy and dribbling the basketball, dribbling out the clock. He didn't have to do that here. And I just think the Raptors know that if James and Donovan play good games, they can't beat them. And that's a huge difference in this series.
Ryan Wilson joined us at 7:20 this morning. Here's Ryan on something I've been trying to tell everybody about for the last 2 months.
The only question is I don't know who's going to be there. I don't think Jeremiah Love's going to be there if a team wants to move from Jeremiah Love. I'll be sort of surprised if an Arbel or a Sonny Styles are there. So they may be stuck at 6 just because there's no one for another team to want to leapfrog and come grab.
I've always had to ask that question. It's like, hey, it's easy to say trade. If no one wants to move up with you, what are you going to do? You might end up being stuck and having to make a pick there at that number 6 spot. Now, when they make that pick on Thursday, if they are still stuck at 6, they're going to say they had this guy in his sights all the entire draft process, and they're going to build him up because no one's going to come out and say stupid things about it unless they're a really stupid organization. And the Browns have been silly at times. They ain't never been that stupid, at least not that I know of. If you're stuck at 6, I want to go because some of this stuff you had a really good draft last year, and I don't want to sit there and be afraid of anything. You had a really good draft last year. I think if you come away with 3 starters in the first 3 picks of this draft, I think it's a tremendous success considering how down everybody is about it. So I kind of want to just be able to hit doubles. And when Nick and Jonathan bring up Jordan Tyson, and a lot of other people do too, I get it. I don't think you're stupid. I'm not disagreeing with you. I think that he does have a high ceiling. But also I want to guard against what the floor could be. And I think that Carnell Tate certainly raises the floor and could be a really good wide receiver, a legitimate number 1 in this league and a legitimate number 1 for this quarterback, whoever it may be, where you go, okay, I dig that. What I am afraid of is what Ryan said also in the interview about Caden Proctor. I like Caden Proctor at 24. I like Caden Proctor as more of a project. But don't take this personally. I made the joke to Ryan, I have to pay attention to this sort of thing. I know I'm not trying to be like self-deprecating. I know what I look like, and I am sensitive to it as a radio show host talking about athletes, because it's hard for me to sit here and talk about other people's weight and say that they're out of shape and fat and things like that. I'm not calling Caden Proctor any of those things. But I also know that I think I believe it's easier for an offensive line coach to add weight on a guy than to take it off during the season. And if all of a sudden he finds himself slow, then you know what people are going to say. And I don't want that for the Browns. If Andrew Berry can get starters out of this draft, I think that you're looking at him going, I know the first the first 5 drafts were terrible for the most part. Not for the most part, but there were some bad ones. But these last 2 drafts have been great, especially if you look at what this draft is. I want to feel good about it. So I'm just like, hey, just go up there and slap a double down the line and let's get on base and let's get this going. Instead of trying to hit a home run and taking hell hacks for a guy like Caden Proctor at 6. I like Caden Proctor, but not at 6. I like Monroe Freeland. I like his attitude, not at 6.
I just wonder if the only reason at this point, based on everything we've heard, that they would go offensive line at 6 is because they're petrified about not being able to get one at 24, which I don't think is
I'd be more petrified about not being able to get a wide receiver that you trust at 24.
By the way, very similar, because we're hearing about runs at both positions kind of in the middle of the round. So it is interesting. Like I've said all along, I could actually see them sitting at 6 and then moving up from 24. To make sure they get somebody at that other position. Now, I have heard a lot of people, just based on what Andrew Berry said over the last few days, I've heard a lot of people think that, well, you know what? Maybe they're not just going to think about offensive line and wide receiver in the first round. But I'm telling you, Ken, I still will be pretty surprised if that's not the order of operations one way or another. Like that wide receiver, offensive line, or offensive line, wide receiver. I will be surprised if they go other positions.
Well, I'll tell you my emotions. Like if they were to take an offensive lineman at number 6, like if they took Mawanoa, if they took Fano, one of those 2 guys, I go, that's a nice solid pick. Okay, we'll see what happens at 24. Maybe they can move up at wide receiver.
You can just go 2 for 2 on pronunciations. I think you did.
Oh,
I think you nailed it. We got somebody breathing
I'm getting
down
harder
our
in
neck.
my old age. Oh God, Keith
I will
is
wait
listening.
for the pronunciation police to weigh in on this.
There's another wide receiver. I don't want to put Kenny on the spot here. There's a wide receiver.
No, there's the offensive lineman, Max Yannichor.
Oh, no, there's a wide receiver that you have not been hitting. You're not batting 1,000 on.
Hold on. It's KC Concepcion, isn't it?
Yeah, except for it's KC Conception.
Well, there was Dave Concepcion.
That was in 1970 something.
Well, okay, but Carman was pronounced Carman in the 1300s.
He has a little thing over his E or his O or something.
Didn't Dave Concepcion?
KC Conception doesn't have any of those.
Does he have an umlaut?
Yeah, any of those little things. I don't think it's an umlaut.
A squiggly?
I don't know what they're called.
What is that called?
You sit there.
Slashies.
My Spanish.
I got to go back to my Phil Steele book and Mark.
To go into
see
the
how many times
figure that out.
See how many times I watch Texas Tech. You sit there and you watch Texas Tech all year, and I'm serious. You look at them and go, "Hey, KC Conception did a good job with."
And then you can say, "Immaculate reception by KC Conception."
Reception. You sit there and you watch all these games.
Is it a tilde? A tilde?
You come. I just want to point this out.
Tilde
guys.
Hunt.
You guys.
Tilda Swinton.
You go. You coach football on Saturday. You come home. This is woe is me. I'm going to do it. Feel bad for me, everybody. You go. You coach football, and then you get home and you watch college football, and then during the week, because you have the pass, you go back and you watch the games previous, and you watch because you're a big fan of Mike Elko. You watch 10 games of Texas A&M. And you can't say the guy's last name right, and you have a boss who just busts your ass to pieces over the pronunciation. Doug Deacon didn't have to deal with this. Of course, I'm not Doug Deacon, so what are you going to do?
It's true.
Oh. It's true.
Oh, boy.
What's the point? What's the point?
Let's get out of the game, Ken.
Hell no, I'm not getting out of the game.
Well, then get better.
It's a good speech. You helped me there. Coming up at 9:25, you're right. Stop the woe is me. In the words of Keith Wakefield, this woe is me, my dog just died, Bolsheviks. Of course, he said the other word. Coming up at 9:25, Ty Montgomery going to join us on the show. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Andrew Berry on the record about Myles Garrett, and at 9 o'clock, we start to turn the page to Game 3 of the Eastern Conference playoffs against the Toronto Raptors. Could this be the swan song? Could we have the knife over their throat? That's at 9:01 on the Fan.
Jeff Thomas just corrected me on that. All right, the real estate market.
Register to win now at 923thefan.com. Count down the hours until tip-off with us, Baskin and Phelps. Weekday mornings starting at 10. Cleveland's Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
Ty Montgomery, 9:25. John Carroll, wide receiver. He's going to be in the 2026 NFL Draft coming up on Thursday. So then I got nervous and I mentioned Texas. Did I mention Texas Tech instead of Texas A&M? Did I do that?
Yeah.
Oh, the whole thing's just a disaster. But I got a lot of people tweeting at me going, Kenny, I thought it was KC Concepcion, not Conception.
Oh, I've had friends for weeks texting me every time you say it.
Why'd you tell me? Why'd you tell me?
Because today wouldn't have been as good.
See, the name I thought you guys were going to get me on was Jeremy Bernard out of Alabama.
That's not hard.
But I've heard people on the radio, I'm not going to say which network, thankfully it wasn't our station, who called him Hermie Bernard. And I go, no, that ain't right. I know I've heard Joe Tessitore say Jeremy Bernard. Texas A&M, KC Conception. Again, I saw 10 damn games of A&M football because I'm a Mike Elko fan. It just goes out the window because you get the wrong people listening. That's the way it goes. What are you going to do? All right, I put it off long enough. Andrew Berry talked to Nathan Zagura yesterday. We have a voluntary workout. Technically, the QB competition starts today for the Cleveland Browns. I know you're excited with it. By the way, do you think they're going to bring in a quarterback this weekend? I got a stealing feeling, brother.
You think so?
I got a stealing feeling.
So that means bye-bye to Mr. Dylan Gabriel?
Apparently it does, at least in my eyes. I didn't get a chance to ask Nathan about it yesterday. We'll have plenty of time to chew the fat on the Browns draft show coming up on Thursday night. Andrew Berry, when asked by Nathan Zagura, you been talking to Myles Garrett?
We stay in communication with all our players, and particularly like our more veteran and senior guys, and that's no different than with Myles, whether it's after the season through the coaching search, a couple hours just laying out the free agency plan, right before the start of the league year. Spoke with him 2 weeks ago just in terms of like his training and everything.
Sure.
And then actually this week in terms of just, we were talking a little bit of Cavs. Spring attendance, it is a voluntary program, and yeah, you'd love to have like all your guys here, but that's not really something that we worry about with a lot of our vets who have been here. Myles will always be prepared, has always been prepared, and has a very disciplined, hard routine. He's not the first veteran player, long tenured veteran player that we've had that spent, the off or the spring programming with their own team and, with their loved ones and families. And, as long as guys are ready to go, once things become mandatory, we're fine with it.
I mean, I'll just come out and say it, man. It ain't high school. I don't need to treat them all the same. They ain't all the same. He's treated differently.
Oh, I get that.
And I don't have a problem with it. And I know people are going to roll their eyes at me. No, I don't have a problem with it. Guy rolls out of bed, works his ass off, gets 23 sacks. If he don't want to show up to voluntary crap, he don't need to show up.
It's not ever been about his play or is he going to have a worse year because he doesn't go to this stuff. And quite frankly, it might not even be about, the defense. Like, if he's on that defense, they're going to be a good defense. I think it has a lot more to do with a buy-in for a brand new head coach and a new coaching staff. And I think they would have done they would have done backflips if he would have showed up. They would have loved it. They would have thought that would have set the tone. That would have been all over their social media every day. It would have been.
I can't deny it.
They would have acted like it was the biggest deal in the world had he have been there. Because why would they have done that?
Because of the new coach. They would. I can't deny it. Okay.
And it would have instantly been, hey, he rolled his eyes at the last head coach every time he talked.
I feel like Barry Bonds during the Balco thing where you finally got me. You brought my family into it, and you finally got me. Fine. I'm sitting on a picnic bench yelling at Gene Wojciechowski. You finally got me, all right?
And by the way,
yes, they would go nuts over there if he were to show up. I get it. Fine.
If they put up even if it were a Zoom call where they just showed a still of Todd Monken talking to Myles Garrett, they would blow it up and say, "Oh, I thought they weren't talking." Like, they would do it. Why aren't they doing it? Because it hasn't happened, because they don't talk. And Myles just has that way about him. He's just not going to do it. He's going to be difficult. And some of it, to me, has to be intentional. And we talked about why. What would be the motivation? And everybody jumped to, well, he wants traded. I also said there are like 10 guys now that are non-quarterbacks that make more money than him per year. It might literally be just one of the levers he has that he can pull to try to get them to tear up the contract and give them a new contract and guarantee the money.
I can't live. I can't even make a comparison because it ain't that type of money. It ain't that type of lifestyle. Okay. The only time I would try to think about it is like you work at a job. There's plenty of people though they don't like their boss. Now I do get along with my boss. Pulling back the curtain, I get along with Keith. Obviously, this show has been close friends with Keith, which is weird because he's our boss. Who'll have to fire us someday. But this show has been close friends with Keith since day one, since August 29th, 2011. All right, I get along with him. However, there's plenty of people out there you don't like their bosses and you don't trust your bosses, but you get paid too much money to go find a different job, and he gets paid too much money to go find a different job. People don't root for your job the way that they root for the Cleveland Browns. Guys, if you guys don't like the Browns right now, and a lot of you not big fans of things and how they're going, I would say, and I'm not trying to put sympathy on him, I bet he feels the same way. I bet he's upset that his coordinator didn't become the head coach. I'm willing to bet all that stuff. Now, I don't think that, I agree with you, I don't think that automatically means he wants to trade. He's just not going to. He knows what his job is. What's his job? What's he get paid millions of dollars to do? Pressure the quarterback and sack the quarterback. Sometimes in different order. That's what he's paid to do. We can sit there and go, well, you're paid to stop the run. You don't care about stopping the run. You don't. Find somebody else to stop the run. You guys care about, we know what we care about. That's what he's paid to do. That's what he does, and he does it better than anybody else. And it's a tough thing for you because the second he doesn't do that anymore better than anybody else, and there will come a time where Father Time will catch him, probably not anytime soon, but if it comes to the point where he isn't the best to do it, then you're not going to get trade value. You're not going to be able to do that then. So it sucks for a Browns fan almost every way around. He is not the heart and soul of the organization. But you know what? There were guys like Lawrence Taylor who tried to be the heart and soul of the Giants. God knows Lawrence Taylor was in trouble every other week, it seemed, back in the 80s with the New York Giants. So at least he's not fake. At least I know what he is.
Well,
and what he
sure.
is he's not a bad guy. He's not. I've always had good interactions with him. I think he's a good person. Yeah, I wish he'd slow down a little bit just so I didn't have to be annoyed talking about it all the time with people. But other than that, he's a good person. And he's obviously one of the best defensive players to ever play the game, and he's the best defensive player to play for the organization. When he stops doing that, then maybe I'll be a little bit harder on it. But until then, there's nothing I can say because I know he's better than anybody else, and my problems don't start with Myles Garrett. He's not part of the biggest problems with my organization. So I'm stuck. You can disagree with that all you want. You guys know I'm right about it. Right? Well, so I can sit here and get mad all you want me to do, but I'm not going to feel it.
It's not about being mad, but we know he publicly campaigned for a different coach, and that coach didn't get hired. And you wonder if there's any residue from that, if that's something that's bothered him.
Yeah.
I'm
sure it does. I'm sure it does. And maybe it is in some little way, his little way to twist it. Because maybe if Jim Schwartz were the head coach, maybe he'd be here.
Boy, wouldn't that be something?
Maybe he would. I can't deny that he would. But again, am I supposed to cuss him out? Say he's a bad guy? Not a bad guy. You don't like most of you don't like your boss. Most of you don't like your boss's boss. So if you don't like your boss's boss, you don't like your boss, you're not a big fan of the Browns. Again, he just is Miles and Wadsworth to me. He's here forever until they decide he's not going to be here. But for the foreseeable future, he's here forever, just like a John and Parma would be. He just happens to make hundreds of millions of dollars. But as John and Parma's a Browns fan, seemingly for life, he's a Brown for seemingly the rest of his football life. And there's things that the Browns do, because I know it, because I have to dump your calls sometimes because you guys start cussing them out. Yeah, there's things that the Browns do that you don't like, and there's certainly things I'm sure the Browns do that Miles doesn't like. And I'll say it again the next time he gets brought up because he probably won't come to any of this stuff next year. And if he's still turning in 20-plus sacks, or 16 is really where I set the bar, 16-plus sacks, I ain't going to say nothing again next year. Because my problems don't start with Miles.
Well, will there be buy-in for whoever the new coach is next year?
It will be Todd Monken. Stop.
Reckless speculation.
Todd will be the head coach, not Haley Monken. Ty Montgomery, wide receiver for your John Carroll Blue Streaks, former technically now because he's going into the draft. He joins us at 9:25. Coming up in 5 minutes. I mean at 9:01. There's only one more tactic the Raptors can try on Thursday night. What tactic is that? I'll tell you, coming up in 5 on The Fan.
in the loss. Want to catch highlights from the Fan from earlier today? Get over to 923thefan.com or favorite 923 The Fan on the Odyssey app for all today's headline segments. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 923 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Sign up to be a part of the Fan Club. Download the free Odyssey app and follow 92.3 The Fan to get all of the best audio and best stories sent straight to your inbox. 923thefan.com.
Win an autographed Evan Mobley jersey, courtesy of Window Nation, where you can sign up to get 50% off. Yes, 50% off new windows. Plus, get them 0% interest financing for 5 years. Sale ends soon. Visit windownation.com. Now I'm going to have to write these in the future because we're just missing words in here. Sale ends soon. Visit windownation.com right now. That's windownation.com right now. But the word is block. B-L-O-C-K, block. Enter the word block. But at the end of this hour, 923thefan.com to get registered to win. It's all courtesy of our good friends over at Window Nation. You win an autographed Evan Mobley jersey. Enter the word block, B-L-O-C-K, by the end of this hour at 923thefan.com to get registered to win. Good luck.
The championship chase is on for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Harden.
Perfect pass, the timing, the delivery, and the finish. Strus. To the max.
16 wins. 1 title.
We still didn't play well. Watch film and get better. I'm sure they're going to come with adjustments. We make adjustments and then be prepared. We played well. We did a lot of things well. They shot it pretty well, too. You got to always give them credit. I think for us, just sticking with what our principles were on both ends of the floor. Pretty solid game.
For the latest on the Cavs championship chase, here's Nick Wilson and Jonathan Peterlin on 92.3 The Fan.
Hell yeah! Let's go! Hell yeah, baby! Let's go! Hell yeah! Let's go!
We had to steal it from the afternoon show yesterday. I heard that yesterday in the car, and I'm like, let's get fired up.
I am
Let's go!
solid. All right, so
I got
Cavs,
the shirt. I got the shirt.
Yeah,
Benny.
you got the shirt. I got a shirt. It is an XL. We got the shirt. And I told you I'd do it. I'm going to put the shirt on.
Yes, he is. See? This is a man.
Well, hold on.
He wasn't going to be judgmental.
I'll give you guys 2 minutes to go to 92.3 The Fan on YouTube, because what you're about to see, maybe you cannot unsee. So I'll give you a couple minutes to go over to the YouTube live feed,
Over on
okay?
the YouTube delay.
Oh, yeah, you can always just go and rewind it, can't you? So I'll just do it
That's
right
right.
now. All right, so I'm going to put the shirt on. I said it was going to be a little – do I take it all off here?
Ooh, all right. What do you got for layers?
I got a black shirt on underneath, just a regular black shirt.
There goes the quarter zip.
All right, I got to open up my belt here.
All right. How the gussets doing?
The gussets are gusseting. The gussets are gusseting. Did you
now he's got
the 80s?
Wait, he's got a white shirt underneath. Ken is layered up.
Oh, yeah.
Forget about leveling up for the playoffs. Ken is layering
It's like a Michael
up.
Jackson video over there. Black shirt,
Here
white
we
shirt.
go.
Is this quick change? Is this an homage to one of the great halftime shows?
Yeah, real quick. Oh, my God. This thing is so tight.
It's going to look ridiculous.
Oh, my God.
Here we go. Yes! Kenny's letting him know. Woo! Let's go.
Bit of a tight shirt here. Bit of a tight squeeze.
You know what?
Hell yeah.
James Harden, it's a tight squeeze into his jersey.
Don't think I won't do what's necessary to win Cavs basketball.
Well, you got to win 16 of them, Ken.
16 wins. 1 title.
You're
Nice
watching
job,
on
Mac, who I heard was going to a watch party last night to see the Cavs game.
Oh, yeah.
Not because it was a real party, but because he couldn't afford the Peacock.
16 wins.
Can we do something?
1 title.
16 platforms.
I love how
16 of Mac's friends, one subscription.
16 wins. 1 title.
You better hope they don't cut it off next time. They're going to catch wind and say you're cheating. You got to subscribe.
They're going to catch 16 wins.
16 wins. 1 title.
I mean, Adam Silver was in town on Saturday. He just told tens of thousands of people at one point that Mac, a guy here, just decided to go somewhere else. And what they're going to crack. See, this is my problem with the NBA. This is my problem.
They're going to make people stop having parties?
What's that Eric Andre thing where he turns around and shoots some guy and blames it on somebody else?
So good.
And it's like, what are you doing? I can't believe we have problems in the NBA. Yeah, maybe you shouldn't put your playoffs on streaming. Maybe you shouldn't do that. Maybe that's not a great idea.
We were relegated to second. We were second-class citizens yesterday because of the Knicks
in
game.
Cleveland not being able to watch it on broadcast television. Yeah, maybe you should have rethought that.
Yeah, remember that. The first round was always still available on local TV, and they did away with that for the money grab. You know, they had the massive money grab for this. It
was always still available, at least on the same thing that you've watched it all year.
I feel like I'm wearing that Under Armour in high school all over again.
We're going to have to peel it off them. Or you get the scissors like they do in the ER room.
I'm beefing. What did Mac do in Sonny?
I'm
putting on mass. I'm bulking, putting on mass.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the influencers now, the young ones. They are looks maxing.
I don't know what that is.
You're going to have to look it up.
If you mew and then you do this with your finger on your jawline. I get that a lot at my house.
How do I look, chubby?
Yes.
You know what? I think you look like James Harden in his jersey now, in his Cavs jersey. And that's a good thing.
When he was in Philadelphia?
No.
Is that what you're trying to say?
We got to give him the beard.
No,
right.
I don't look like James Harden. I've eaten way more chicken wings than I haven't been to nearly as many gentlemen's
he's staying
clubs.
out of those places. He's got the love of his life.
There's no way
right
I'd
now.
eat one of them places, by the way.
Remember,
I'm just saying.
We have the evolved version of James Harden. And I'm staring at him right now.
There you go. James really let himself go.
Are people trying to... We got Ty Montgomery coming out. He just texted. He is joining us. You're going to hear
Are you sure he wants to join after he checks this out on YouTube? Because this is just damn ridiculous.
He's a great story in the NFL draft. ESPN just did an awesome piece on him. John Carroll, All-American wide receiver. I get some people who want to fight me about James Harden. How could they?
I'll put him on the phone. I don't care.
He's been incredible.
Some people call him Maurice in the Bay Area. He's listening on the free Odyssey app. Maurice, let it ride.
What's going on, y'all? Man, look, you look great in the shirt, man. Relax.
I look
good.
terrible.
There you go.
I look terrible.
Hey, Lima, relax on James Harden, man. He's okay. He's an upgrade over Darius, but he's going to choke at the end of the day. So you guys are both right.
You just need to...
Whoa.
Maurice,
at
they
least
just
he's
need
available.
to avoid the Game 7s. They'll be fine.
At least he's available.
You're right. You're right about that. He's an upgrade over Darius. He's going to be more healthy.
Yeah, there you go.
But we all know what's going to happen at the end of the day.
But that's what I'm saying. At least he's available to choke. The other guy wasn't. No, and see, now I sound terrible. I'm not trying to take... Because the other guy didn't make himself available because he was hurt. I don't have to worry about that with James Harden because he's a bigger frame. Not that Darius Garland was sitting out on purpose. You get what I'm saying, Maurice.
I get it. No issues there. I said you guys are both right. You in the afternoon, guys. I see Lima and them are fighting. You guys are both right about
it's tearing us apart.
It's
I
all
hate
fun.
this.
They had a great...
now I really want to talk about what guys know I want to talk about. Who you guys think is going to take first snap? Let's do that. Who's going to take the first snap? The supercomputer's going to be gone.
Shador Sanders.
Wait, you're worried about that before the draft?
Man, why do you care about Dylan Gabriel?
The draft. Why do you care about the draft? Why?
I'm asking.
You're not getting a quarterback.
Oh,
You're not getting a quarterback.
You're going to get a quarterback day 3. I'm willing to bet you'll get one day 3.
Day 3? What is he going to do?
That's where you got Shador Sanders.
Was doing last year and
honestly,
throw to the garbage can?
Maurice.
They're going to have him throw it to the garbage can?
No. He sees him as current. Well, it's becoming a time-honored tradition in Berea. We got to have somebody to throw to the garbage cans. But you got 3 picks from the end of round 5 to round 7. Okay,
you guys are good. You guys are straight, man. Shador be your quarterback this year, next year, Lima. We went viral for that.
There you go.
Just go ahead and enjoy it.
Take that, buddy
Just
boy.
Go ahead and enjoy it. Take care. Have a good
Put that
one.
in your pipe and smoke it, Tone. Thank you very much. So I'll just say this about the Browns real quick. I think they'll take somebody on Saturday.
That's when they took Shador Sanders last year.
Andrew Berry sees quarterbacks as currency, and I think they'll take somebody at Saturday. Now, if we really want to give somebody a chance, I like Luke Altmaier. Luke Altmaier.
Okay.
6'2". I think he'd be a decent camp hand. We'll see where it goes, and you trade away Dylan Gabriel for whatever you can get.
Easy name to pronounce.
Yeah, we need to take someone. We just got corrected again. It's not Conception.
I'm done.
I don't know.
It's not Concepcion.
I'm done. You guys try to correct me. You guys try to correct me one more time. I'm just going to call him Corey Coleman if they draft him. Okay? And that's just not the right thing to do.
If he shows up with the hater shades, he will be.
And I'm going to look at him and go, it's not your fault, young man. It's my boss's fault. It's everybody else's fault for working me into a shoot. I hope you have a wonderful career if the Browns draft you. I'm just looking at myself right now. I mean, I look like a Kishka over there.
You do look like you're struggling to breathe a little.
I'm afraid to say something even dumber than I usually do because it's seen cutting off the circulation of my head.
You look like we can't see your lower half, but there might be a python consuming you right now.
Right, if I get into a big argument with him, Owen, how his face will get so red.
Oh, my gosh.
It'll look like the red shirts that were in the other
That's right.
aisles.
Henry in Akron. Hello, Henry.
So thank you for taking my call. I just want to call and talk about the Cavs going into Toronto.
All right.
I saw some shades of Toronto out rebounding them again, but thank God they were shooting lights out. But if they go to Toronto and they don't shoot well, I'm giving Toronto 2 games. They're gonna win both of those games. They play like they played last night.
We didn't shoot lights out yesterday. The Sporting Cast was dreadful.
Well, if they play like that in Toronto, we're gonna lose both those games.
Oh, my God. They just posted. I'm sorry, Henry. They just posted the video of me putting the shirt on, and, boy, you can really see my Hooters. Henry, thank you very much for the call.
Henry,
I think,
head on over to online and see Ken's Hooters.
Believe it or not, the Cavs will
Why go to the Crazy Horse when I can give you a free show right now?
Even dominant sweeps, in the NBA playoffs, you got to battle back on the road. They're probably going to be down in Game 3. You're going to get the full kitchen sink. Toronto already made their first massive adjustment.
Yeah.
They sent Pirtle packing. So
is he going to play anymore?
I don't know because he
looked like I would look out there. He looked terrible.
He's got a huge contract. He's been dreadful.
He's got a lot of Pirtles to overcome.
But so again, guys, think about it. I love that. We have forced the other team's hand. We're more talented. We have the superstars. The other team is already going to desperate measures. I feel good. That's why I'm putting on the shirt and waving the towel.
I got the towel.
There's a reason why the Cavaliers now have gotten up to the 4th best championship odds. They have actually leapt over the Denver Nuggets.
See you in hell, Denver.
So, I don't know, in Denver, are they really down on the Cavs the way that apparently other hosts here are down on the team? I don't know.
Somebody get Dave Logan on the show and see if he's talking trash about the Nuggets.
If that Albright actually had a show, maybe we would see if
now we're just taking swings at people for no reason here. Come on.
Paying for his time.
Get Vic Lombardi on the show from Altitude. See if he's talking trash about the Nugs. 216-474-0092. Can I take another? Come on, let me take another.
Can we take another?
It's 9:25 for time.
16 wins, 1 title.
That's how it goes. You got to win 16 of them to get a title. They don't give you 2 titles for winning 16. Cody in Wadsworth, home of the Grizzlies. Hello, Cody.
The Cavs aren't going to win another game if Wade, Mobley, and Allen combine for 15 rebounds. That's like relying on Matt Festa to give you 5 innings of relief.
Festa comparison here.
All right, I will remind... This is a great time to remind the caller that the Cavs starters with Dean Wade have a plus 44.9 net rating, and they've played 18 minutes so far in the playoffs. When Wade plays, they are a different team. Why, Kenny? Do I have to lecture? Do I have to talk down? He's capable of guarding guards, little guys like Jalen Brunson. He is capable of dominating guys like Brandon Ingram. So when you have that versatility defensively, you can switch.
Matt Festa comparison.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I saw Slade Ciccone go out there and turn the thing into the movie 1917, and we're over here making Matt Festa comparison.
They've been a different team since they've been able to elevate Wade into the starting role.
Well, I think they can get out rebounded by Toronto, still win this series. Now, Cody's right in the future, especially now that Orlando's won a game. So Cody would be right in the future. Man, I'm freezing. Now, you know what else is going to be hard then if I'm freezing? Stop objectifying me. I'm not a piece of meat you can just stare at. My eyes are up here, Tone, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
The chubby guy on the right is just scared to death. The other guy's keeping it 100% real, man.
He's totally right when he said that.
Professor Whitlock.
I've never wanted, oh gosh, imagine the stuff he says about people. I can't imagine what he's thinking watching this right now on YouTube.
I'd like to see him wear the shirt.
That guy is the most salacious person in broadcasting. Lord almighty, I can't imagine what he'd be thinking about seeing all this. All right, coming up in about 7 minutes, okay? We got Ty Montgomery joining us on the show. Local wide receiver for the John Carroll Blue Streaks. Lima called his games on ESPN+. We will have him on. We'll talk to him about the draft process. We'll continue to try to get you ready for Game 3 if this thing doesn't go off the rails. I do think, though, real quick, again, they can be out-rebounded by Toronto and still win. They got out-rebounded last night. I didn't think Toronto had a chance to really win the basketball game. In the future, yeah, it's going to be something we have to pay attention to.
Yeah, they have their flaws, just like every other team in the East, including Boston, by the way. Boston has some playoff flaws. You might not notice them in their first series against this version of Philly. But this is not the same Boston team that I thought was unbeatable last year, who then got beat by the New York Knicks.
Carman, Lima, Fan, Ty Montgomery, 5 minutes, boom. Window Nation.
Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast.
Make plans to join the most knowledgeable lineup in all of Cleveland media for NFL draft coverage.
The Cleveland Browns select.
We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
All right, we've been celebrating the Cavs going up 2-0, but we are also getting closer to the NFL draft. Of course, we'll have all the coverage coming up here on 92.3 The Fan.
Yes, we will.
Kenny will be
Thursday,
one of the great voices of the draft.
8 p.m., round 1, rounds 2 and 3. Friday, 7 p.m., then 4 through 7 starts at high noon. That's when they really chew the fat and get in the weeds, man.
Yeah.
That's going to be some good times right there.
Where Ken's prep work is paid off, and I want to know, Ken, have you done...
I won't be on Saturday.
Well, have you done the requisite work on our next guest appearing on the Make It Right, Call Kyle Wright hotline? We're going to be excited if and when we get to hear the voice of the local All-American because he starred at John Carroll. Ty Montgomery, who his story has been profiled on ESPN. It was a great piece. I tweeted it out yesterday. And are you enjoying all the buzz and hearing your name and all the pub you've been getting as Ty joins us on the show? What's up, Ty?
What's up, y'all? How y'all doing?
It's a pretty amazing story. Somebody who started out playing basketball. You were a walk-on at LSU. You had some personal tragedy. You went back home, and now you're someone who could get drafted by an NFL football team. It all has to just be amazing for you right now.
Yeah, it feels good. It's this is in my mom's vision. This is what I've been manifesting for the past few years. So it feels good to have this reality be right in front of me.
I hate to sound naive or not. No, how much did you play high school football before all this?
No, I didn't play at all. I played basketball.
So what made you want to play football, Ty?
So after I came home from LSU, it was around the COVID time and everything got shut down. So once I came home to take care of my mom, I couldn't play basketball at all because there was no more opportunities for me. So one day, me and my brother, we was just in the backyard. My brother actually plays football. He's a quarterback for North Greenville University, 6'5", 220. So he was just in the backyard. He was just throwing the football around, and my brother asked me to run some routes for him. He kind of showed me how to run certain routes, and I could easily pick up on it. So after that point, I kind of just knew, maybe this is what I need to be doing in life, and I just stuck with it, and now here we are.
So how did you end up at John Carroll?
So I was at Nicholls State University from 2022 to 2023, and then I ended up finding out I had no more D1 eligibility. So then I entered the transfer portal. Once I entered the transfer portal, there was a guy named Eddie Franca out of Miami, Florida. He knew Coach Behrman, and he just connected me with Coach Behrman, and then that's how I ended up getting to John Carroll.
But some of your journey included flag football, right? And watching YouTube videos and trying to learn the game that way, which is obviously very different the way today we have kids in camp. We've got, Kenny's in football meetings, it seems like every day going over this stuff. And, in today's day and age, players are just expected to be 24/7 their sport. You did it a very, very different way.
Yeah, I had to go the flag football route because I didn't have any football film in high school, so I know I needed to do something to put me on the college football world map. So once I got into flag football, I formed up a highlight tape, and it got sent around to a bunch of coaches. And at first, coaches were all interested in me, but they were scared to take the chance on me because I never put on shoulder pads a day in my life. So I ended up, my tape ended up getting the Nicholls, and they said, you know what, look, we'll take them. And then that's when it started.
Well, we're talking to Ty Montgomery, John Carroll All-American. I got a chance to do his game. They were in the national championship semifinal this past year. Just an incredible journey, and you were spectacular all season long. But then you get the invite to the Senior Bowl. What was that like? Because you were making waves all over social media. We had some of the biggest draft pundits there are in the country talking about you. Did your phone blow up? How did you feel when you started getting that publicity?
Yeah, my phone was blowing up. I had whenever I would log on to Instagram during the Senior Bowl, whenever everything was blowing up, my phone would keep glitching. I couldn't get on the app because, I was getting so many followers. So I just kind of had to, like, sit my phone down. And, you know, at the same time, so I didn't want to be getting on my phone while I was at the Senior Bowl. Like, I still had, you know, work to be done. But, I mean, it felt good, like, at the aftermath. Like, once I got home and really sit down and process everything that had happened, it felt good that, you know, I was able to go out there and show the scouts that, you know, I could play football. Granted, I'm a D3 player, but it didn't mean anything at the end of the day.
Well, you mentioned a D3 player, and there are some famous dudes that have come out of Division III. Have you gotten a chance to kind of look into those stories and, you know, see how tough maybe it was for them to get acclimated, or are you just kind of focused on your situation and your spot?
I have talked to Cecil Short. You know, Cecil Short played at Mount Union. He got drafted. I forgot what year it was, but he got drafted in the 4th round. So me and him, we got to chop it up a couple weeks ago. You know, just kind of compare stories. I mean, other than that, I've been kind of really just focused on myself. I mean, it's all new. It's just a lot coming at me. You know, just trying to stay grounded at the end of the day.
What have you liked about Cleveland, being here, going to school here over the last couple of years?
I think the people. I really enjoy the people. I like the environment. The one thing that's new for me is the weather. You know, that the weather is kind of ridiculous sometimes. You know, outside practicing in 40-degree weather. But I mean, other than that, I like the environment. I like the people. I like the energy I get whenever I'm out there. And then most importantly, my school and football. So yeah.
What would it mean to you if you were drafted by the Browns this coming weekend?
It mean a lot. You know, that'd be great. You know, to have quarterback Shedeur Sanders throwing me the ball. It would be nice. I mean, I'll be coming back to Cleveland. I mean, I was just there a few months ago, so it'll be a familiar territory for sure.
Have you, I don't know how much you can actually tell us, but the conversations you've been having with NFL teams, how has that been? What kind of process has that been like for you? Because, like I said, these kids, a lot of them, especially the first rounders, they've been groomed for this their entire lives. For you, this is all kind of new. So what has that been like, getting a chance to talk to the NFL teams, and what have they been asking you?
It's been good. I mean, a lot of teams, you know, they ask me more in my story, and then they ask me, like, how did I pick up on football so fast? I mean, I just kind of tell them, you know, just YouTube and just being with my brother for real and playing Madden. Madden has helped me a lot as far as, like, reading coverages and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's obviously new and it's different, but, you know, I feel like life is about adjustments and adapting. So I've just been adapting to, you know, what I got to do.
What do the teams say to you when you tell them how you learn the game? This is very unorthodox and obviously not how we do things here in America when it comes to, you know, football and getting kids along that pathway to have a chance like you have right now.
Yeah, they're all shocked. I mean, because, you know, even whenever I say my story out loud, it's not normal. So, I mean, for them, it's just, yeah, they're more shocked than anything. I feel like there's no other word I could really use. Yeah, that's really it.
Ty Montgomery joining us on the show. John Carroll, wide receiver. Your sports information director, he seemed a little bit hesitant to give your number away. Is that because of the pranking that's gone on over the last few years during the draft process?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, actually, a couple of days ago, I kept getting some no caller IDs calling my phone. So I think that's where he's coming from with it.
John, lose his number. We've got a new employee. Hasn't gotten past his probation period yet. We're going to make sure he deletes your number so we don't let any of those shenanigans help out. All right, Ty, I'm somebody who lost my mom at a very young age, and that ESPN story did such a great job capturing your journey and how instrumental she was in your life. Can you share with some of our listeners just how big of an impact she had and why you are in your position today?
Yeah, my mom, she had a big impact on my life. You know, growing up, playing basketball, she used to always just put a bug in my ear. She used to always tell me all the time, like, hey, I see you playing football. You might want to look into football. And I used to just brush it off. You know, I used to just tell her like, I'm going to the NBA because that's what I thought I was going to be doing. Like, a few years ago, I thought I was going to be in the NBA playing basketball, being compared to Chris Paul. And then, sure enough, I come home, I start playing football, and I see all this stuff happening for me, and I see doors are opening up easily for me. And it's like, wow, like, a mother's our mother's feeling and thoughts are always right. Like, it's true. So, she just had a big impact on me as far as staying positive, staying optimistic, and just knowing nothing in this world will be handed to you, and you got to work for everything. So I'm just glad she molded me into this, and it's just helped me as far as with this process and maneuvering through life and through football. So I'm forever grateful for her, and she's gone but never forgotten.
Well, awesome story. We're rooting for you. You're a college grad. You had a degree from Nicholls State. Now, John Carroll, you were working on digital marketing. So either way, this has been an amazing journey, and we're rooting for you. And how cool would it be if you get drafted by the Cleveland Browns? Ty, we want to check in with you again at some point.
Oh yeah, thank you. And yeah, if the Cleveland Browns decide to come get me, then go Browns. We're gonna go crazy. But if the cards are played in a different way, then I'm gonna make the most of my opportunity.
All right, Ty, we appreciate it. There he is, Ty Montgomery. John, lose his number after you thank him for coming on.
Don't keep his number.
And notice he said Shedeur Sanders be throwing him the football. Does he know something when he talked to the Browns?
I think the first cannon has already been fired in the battle for the starting quarterback in 2026. Shot heard around the world from Ty Montgomery. John Carroll, wide receiver. 216-474-0092. Yep, it begins today. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima. That in 5 minutes on The Fan.
Cavs talk. Immediately after every playoff game, Cleveland's Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
Today's the day. The battle has begun. The Battle of Berea. The QB competition opens. Where were you? And the first volley has been fired. Ty Montgomery crossed the Cuyahoga in the middle of the night and said he's going to be catching passes from Shedeur Sanders.
Shedeur Sanders.
There you go. So Deshaun showed up. What was he taking the temperature of the fans when he showed up at the basketball game last night? He showed up to the Cavs game.
Well, okay. So here's my question.
Turns around like Kent Brockman at the boxing match.
This is great.
This just in. Go to hell.
I'm glad you brought that up because
Thank you.
We were wondering, and John reached out to some people who were at the game yesterday because he's doing some intrepid reporting back there after we tell him what to do.
Yeah, he's doing it all right.
But he reached out to Daryl and said, hey, how was the reception? Not reception. How is the
reception?
No, I'm upset.
How was the reception for Deshaun Watson on the Jumbotron? And Daryl said, well, they didn't show him. And, Bernie was the quarterback they showed. He was doing
Bernie
all the pregame
texted us this
festivities.
morning. He's doing well.
He was listening. Yeah, it looked great. But Daryl said they didn't show him. And so here's my question. People get mad, especially on YouTube. People get mad, Kenny, when we just dismiss Deshaun Watson and say, well, nobody wants to see him. And people are like, there are people who say, yeah, we do.
Okay, well,
Speak for yourself.
5 people on YouTube ain't going to change my mind.
So, but you said, was he taking the temperature of the fans?
I'm being facetious.
Yeah, I know. But when Deshaun Watson walks around that Cavs game, how do you think he's received?
Here's a little temperature of the fans, right? Who do you think's making the call to put him on Humongotron or not? It's a bunch of Clevelanders, people that live in Cleveland that are Browns fans.
True.
And I can just tell you from a guy that's been on the headset, right, that conversation was had. Do we put him up there or not?
Do we show him or not?
When do we put him up there? Do we have to be up by a certain amount? Did we just make a run? Is it going to kill the energy that's in the building?
When they do free throws for the opposing team and they put the Michigan logo, do they don't show Deshaun Watson
now,
up there?
Obviously, someone somewhere in that group said, hey, this is not a good idea. And they didn't do it. And that should tell you everything you need to know about what happened yesterday and why he wasn't shown.
And you guys know why. And I'll just say it out loud. You don't want to run the risk of booing. It takes away from the game, and then it's another storyline that we don't. The Cavaliers
probably a
wouldn't need.
Bigger storyline than the game nationally, especially.
Well, because the Cavs would be. I mean,
maybe they'd at least get on local TV after that.
It doesn't look like a. Well, that's not their fault. Sad to say. I don't know. What's the NBA doing? I'm sorry. That's just silly as hell. And the people who were sending me tweets last night, I'm sorry. I can't give you my password. The folks at Peacock would find out.
Did Mac reach out to you? Because he's going to have to put in a lot of miles going to people's houses.
16 wins, 1 title.
Leeching on their subs. Come on, Mac, get your act together.
16 passwords.
I was going to say 16 streaming services, 1 friend. Poor Mac. No, if they show him and they boo, it becomes a national conversation. Like, honestly, you show Miles, they'll clap for Miles. You show just about anybody. I'm sure Todd Monken was shown on the Jumbotron a couple weeks ago, right? When he held the crystal ball. I'm sure that they cheered for him. Again, Bernie Kosar pulls the sword out of the stone, so I know that a lot. Like, again, the Browns.
Who was with him last night? Jamari Thrash?
Jamari Thrash was with him.
I bet you if Deshaun wasn't with him, they would have showed him. And they would have had to put the graphic underneath, this is Jamari Thrash, because I don't know how many people know what his face looks like.
But also, is Jamari Thrash sitting courtside if he's not with Deshaun Watson?
That's absolute potato.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're right. So now, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, is it any different? Has it changed since the day that some people cheered his injury at the stadium? I know we got into a big debate on just how small a crowd that was or whatever.
Yes, we did.
But has it changed? Have people eventually, like, as much as you might hate somebody, over time, does any of that ever dissipate?
I don't think they hate him. I just think he's a reminder of how bad things have been. And by the way, if I'm putting a leader in the clubhouse right now, I'll say he's a leader in the clubhouse. Why wouldn't he be? He's the veteran. He's played at an all-pro level before. He's had experiences in different offenses. Now, I understand that those aren't successful experiences in different offense, but he has more experience. You would have the guy with more experience would probably be the leader in the clubhouse on day one of a quarterback competition. So I have no problem saying that. I'm just telling you how I feel the fans feel about him. And I think that most fans, I know we had Maurice in the Bay Area, and I think that this will probably upset the YouTube people, but the truth is the truth. I think a lot of people are looking at college football this year going, that's where you're going to find your quarterback in 2027. That the guys on this roster will probably not be on the roster or quarterbacks in 2027, with the exception of maybe whoever they draft on day 3 this year, because I'm not pretty sure, but I'm going to guess that they're going to draft another guy on day 3 this year and move along from Dylan Gabriel. Get a fresh start for everybody involved there. But, yeah, there's always going to be a bit of a vocal minority. But I just think, by and large, you say whatever you want. We don't need to do fat lock and bring all that stuff into it. Let's just call it what it is. They've not been a good football team over the last couple of years. He is a reminder of why. You haven't had first-round picks. You haven't had good quarterback play. The only last time you got excited about the Browns during the season was when he wasn't playing. It's not good. It's not good. So if I'm in charge, I'm going to give Shedeur Sanders every opportunity to take the job. But I also, and we've said this before, and I'll say it again, I can't lie to the other players in the room and give him the job if he doesn't deserve it. So it's a big time for Shedeur. So I think he has. I heard he has. I've seen him around over there. I think he's done everything he possibly can to be the starting quarterback for this football team in 2026. So we'll let the chips fall where they may. I don't think that I have not heard that he's been lazy or any of the other things that people just conjure up out of their heads to get people worked up on social media, which isn't even real. I think he's done everything he can to put himself in a good position to be the starting quarterback. If it's close, the tie goes to Shedeur. I do think the tie goes to Shedeur.
100% agree.
But if it's like, hey, man, this guy's at this level and this guy might be okay, but he's at that level, they're going to go with the guy who's at this level. And if that guy ends up being Deshaun Watson, they're going to pick Deshaun. And Todd Monken's going to pick Deshaun Watson.
And this has nothing to do with all of the stuff that people speculated on when it came to Shedeur and the playbook. When I'm like, every rookie comes in and has to learn. Like, that's hard for everybody.
I'm not speculating on any of that.
But it's pretty. One thing, it kind of goes without saying. Deshaun Watson is probably going to be ahead in that category.
Yes.
He's had so many offensive coordinators in the NFL. He's had so many different offenses.
More experience, physically a bigger presence. Now, Shedeur's not he's not, you see Deshaun Watson, he's a physically bigger presence, so that'll play into it. The type of athleticism that they have, that'll play into it. Escapability, that'll play into it.
Because of the injury history.
Well, you know what? Maybe my eyes are lying to me. I told you, I saw him working out, and he looked like he was running like the wind when I saw him working out in person. But you tweet nasty things at me all you want. I'm just saying the quiet part out loud, but I don't think it's a very quiet part. I think most fans, if they want to see a quarterback this year, they want to see Shedeur Sanders over Deshaun Watson. I would say 8 out of 10 Browns fans want to see him over Deshaun. And if we get to next year and the quarterback situation isn't figured out, then they're going to pick another guy. Because we can't just keep kicking blame down the road. So, yeah, I hope Shedeur ends up winning the job. I'm pulling for him because it's more fun to talk about Shedeur. It's been way more fun to argue about Shedeur than anything of the past beforehand. Big thanks to everybody who joined us today. Ty Montgomery was excellent. Listen to that interview, 923thefan.com. Ty was wonderful. Have the podcast coming out here momentarily. Ryan Wilson was excellent. Didn't really make me feel good about the whole Caden Proctor 6 thing.
Then he said you might be stuck at 6. As if 6 is some terrible spot to be drafted in.
I don't think it's the best spot if you're stuck and you really want to move down. If you really want to move down, then stuck is stuck. You ain't going to feel good about that. More on that coming up tomorrow. We'll go around the AFC North tomorrow. It's going to be a good time. And we'll continue to get you ready for Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Playoffs. We're back tomorrow, 6 to 10. For Big Country, for John, for Jeff, for the Slippery Wizard Anthony Lima, I'm Ken Carman. Have a wonderful day, friends. Go Guardians.
The championship chase is on for the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Hey, sounds good.
Where's your entourage now?
Cool, I got on the last show.
Oh, boy. 16 wins,